What is going on, everybody? It is episode 636 of Pop Culture Crisis. My name is Brett. I am back, and I am here with my co-host. Would you introduce yourself, please?
Hi, Crisis Actors. It's Mary. Obviously, Brett is back in town now. We were worried because it looked like a tornado watch in the area.
Lightning. There was like a lot of lightning going on. From what I understand, lightning is the thing that grounds flights quite a bit. So there was actually like lightning in the rear view, basically, as we were taking off. But
Imagine
I
if
thought
your plane just got struck by lightning, you died.
Okay,
and
so
I'd have to be here like, Brett died, and it's not a joke.
This is a thing for me where like I'm one of those people. I actually kind of relish whenever the plane hits turbulence because I'm like, you know what? If it all goes wrong, nothing I can do about it.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say like you don't think it could ever happen to you because you're not you don't think you're special enough to die in a plane crash.
It's the height of narcissism to think that you're going to be one of the people that ends up dying in a plane crash.
But anyway, the everyone take your guess as to what exactly Brett was having done. It could be a BBL, it could be the leg lengthening surgery.
I'm not sitting higher,
could
so
be,
it wasn't the
someone
BBL.
said bicep inserts.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's definitely not the BBL because my chair would be higher.
I did notice you appear to be a few inches taller.
We'll have to, I lowered the seat so that I appear to be the same height that I was before.
Yeah. Now you're almost as tall as Dane, who's also joining us today.
That was a sick segue.
Thanks.
That was great.
It's what I do.
Yeah.
How are you?
I'm great.
Doing good, buddy?
You're kind of struggling to speak today.
Yeah.
You're going to have to let me bump your audio.
Yeah, my voice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I came up earlier and they were literally cackling about me. They were like, haha, well, you mustn't tell Dane. I was like, excuse me?
Well, I tend to cackle whenever you're around. You offer, easy humor.
Thanks.
Yeah, no problem.
Doesn't seem like a compliment. But then I was like, hey, so my voice is messed up. You guys okay with it? And they're like, yeah, you're fine.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay.
You'll make it.
See, I always like it when my voice is rough because people give me crap because they think I have too high of a voice.
Then you sound like a chad.
I actually sound like a dude. So
we were talking about that yesterday. You see that video of Ariana Grande where she changes her voice?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Kellen showed us this clip of DDG where he was like, yeah, this is my real voice. I changed it so I could work at TJ Maxx. And it's like a really scarily low.
I'm going to need you to, maybe I'm the bad guy here. Who the hell is DDG?
It's Halle Bailey's baby daddy / YouTuber / rapper.
Yeah, Brad.
Yeah. Okay.
Halle Bailey's baby daddy.
We've definitely
YouTuber.
talked about him at least once.
Okay, well, we've talked about things multiple times that I don't remember. The second
okay.
the show is over, the information just goes right out.
But dude, by the way, literally, you can be like, hey, Brett, what do you think about this conversation we had? He's like, what?
Like outside of stuff that we cover, like that we like hammer home and talk about like on a regular basis, the moment the story happens, it's just poof, it's a phantom. It's gone from my brain.
I got nothing.
Yep. Guys, we got a bunch of stuff to get into today. It's going to be a lot of fun. But before we get started, would you hit the like button on this video and subscribe to this channel if you have not subscribed here already? I saw that while I was gone, we passed 119,000 subscribers. So thank you all so much for that. Remember to share the video with your friends, family, loved ones, the people you hate, the people you're completely indifferent to. The more people that see these live streams and these episodes and these segments, the more people that they share them with, it is really the best way to help this show grow. So thank you very much for that.
The Instagram is growing a lot too.
Yes.
Which is good to see. It seems like it's easier to get videos to blow up on Instagram.
We've had multiple
these days.
Lately,
Yeah.
Yeah. So do that, guys. And remember, all super chats $20 and over. We will interrupt the discussion. We will read those super chats. Perhaps you have your own guess as to what I was having done surgically while I was gone for 2 days. And you
It was
want to
LASIK.
ask that.
And now you're wearing fashion glasses.
That'd be really funny.
You can finally see.
That would be really funny to get LASIK and then just still wear fake glasses all the time.
You're in your 2020 era.
I know people have done that.
I hear too many horror stories about LASIK to get it done. Like I had a rule at one point. I'm like, I'm going to ask people on a regular basis. And if I get to 4 people in a row who say it's a good idea before somebody tells me some awful story, I'll consider getting it done. I've never hit that threshold. I always get to like 1 or 2. And then the third person's like, oh, my dad got it. And then he basically went blind and never saw again. And I'm like, thank you.
Everyone I know that got LASIK had their glasses back on 2 years later.
Did they?
It just, their vision deteriorated all over again.
Yeah,
After
but they're like, it's worth it. It's the freedom I've always
But-
wanted. Anyway, where's my glasses? Like,
but you're supposed to only get it once you have definitely like stagnated
I went
your
to an eye test and my vision improved.
That can
That's
happen.
weird.
Mine has done that.
And I was talking to the doctor. I was like, "Am I a miracle of science?"
He's like,
do
"No."
you want to study me?" She was literally like, "It's not remotely impressive." Like she was super dismissive.
She's like,
about
you
it.
thought you were about you. She's like, you thought you did something, huh?
Yeah. She's like, and the
You
fact
thought you
that
ate that. You
She
thought
was-
you ate that eye
she
exam.
was like completely that way. It was like, is it rare? She's like, no, not even that.
Most of the time.
Never happened to me.
Like most of the time, your eyes can get a little bit better if you wear your glasses on a regular basis. If you limit blue light and stuff like that. It
I
doesn't
don't do any
improve-
of that.
It doesn't improve it entirely, but it can help and stuff like that. But what are we going to talk about today? Well, there is an editor over at Kotaku who is starting Gamergate 2.0 all over again. I really never thought we would end up talking about this story, but it has just gone on and on and on. And
I'm sure some of you have been
I'm
following
sure more than a couple of you guys
got
have
a
followed this story. Her name's Alyssa Mercante.
20 super chat from Corey Anderson. Hey y'all, I took my family on a vacation to Yellowstone and unfortunately I've had a medical episode and have been admitted to the hospital.
Yikes.
Hope you all are doing well. My guess is cochlear implant, Dane Elden Ring DLC.
Absolutely.
Elden Ring DLC.
Absolutely.
I don't know if I'm supposed to take you seriously now, but if you're serious, I hope
Feel
you recover
better.
soon.
Yeah, feel better.
Yeah.
And no cochlear implant for me. I do get I've been getting some pushback lately about the fact that I have my headphone in my right ear all the time. I think some people think it's a little bit disrespectful.
Some people, I remember, thought that your AirPod or your
Yeah.
whatever, your earbud was a hearing aid. And I was like, no, he just listens to music all the time.
Yeah.
It's not a hearing aid.
It's not even listening to it, right? Like the best thing I can do is I turn the volume like on the headphones really, really far down and then just put it like by the ear of somebody who can hear normally. I'm like, this is what I'm hearing right now, which is very, very low. It's basically like you ever have like a montage in a movie and you feel like you look cool as somebody's looking cool as they're walking. I can always have background
You're
music.
always imagining yourself in one of the Sigma grind
Yes.
set edits.
I'll many times in my life I have started walking and then slow my walking down to about 60 frames a second.
It's
and just walk
the
in slow
bottom
motion.
G theme song.
Yes. Do-da-do-da-dee.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yes. Yeah.
You walking up into the PCC studio every morning.
Every morning. So we're gonna be talking about all this stuff with I don't know if we're on Gamergate 2, 3, 4, 5, but
Whatever
we're gonna
it
talk
is.
about the
At
editor.
least 6.
We're gonna then talk about the producer for Assassin's Creed. He has responded and he's criticizing Elon Musk, and all of this is of course related to everything. What did you call the character?
The DEI samurai.
Yes. So
Yasuke.
we're gonna talk about that. We're also gonna talk about this video that went very viral yesterday about these med spa ladies who were letting you know just how much Botox and fillers and injectables they've had put into their faces, and it was a shocking amount for how young some of these ladies were. I sent it to Mary, and like 4 minutes later, she made a post.
You knew
about
I was
it.
going to have a field day
yeah,
with that.
yeah, absolutely. So we're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about the lost art of hobby horsing. If you don't-
The lost art. It's the ancient practice.
I'm
of
sure they
hobby
did it in
horsing.
prior cultures, and we just didn't know about it.
Yeah, it's just picture horse girls without the horse.
Yes.
Yeah.
In my day, we called it Quidditch. So we're going to talk about that. We got a bunch of other stuff. So if you guys are ready, we can just go ahead and get right into it. Mary, are you ready?
Yes, let's go.
Dane.
Yes.
He's ready. Let's get started then. First, ladies and gentlemen, I got some big news for you. Most of the time, we are talking pretty regularly about how depressing it is to be Disney these days. Box office bombs left and right, problems within the culture war. But there is a bright spot for them right now, which is the movie Inside Out 2, which opened huge over the weekend, making $155 million here in the U.S., a combined total of $295 million overseas, when you combine all of them together. And I think that one of the most interesting concepts behind this discussion is they are talking about what the demographic breakdown was of everyone who went and saw this. And Mary made the point to me off air that what it is it's capitalizing on the anxious nature of today's young women.
Yeah, it's basically a cynical ploy at bringing mental health awareness activism into the mainstream through pop culture. And I really don't like the whole mental health awareness movement, because it's all about finding out what's wrong with you instead of trying to be a functioning adult.
I will push back on this in general. Look, from what I've seen from everyone who's seen it, says that they enjoyed it a lot. The movie has great mass appeal. And when they talk about anxiety and emotions, the idea here is that they're universally applicable, meaning that everybody in some way, shape, or form feels these things. And they would rather they talk about ideas that have a sort of universal nature to it rather than stuff that seems to be only made for a specific group. Like last week, we talked about how the chief creative officer over at Pixar talked about how they had to get away from stories that were autobiographical to the director and start talking about ideas that have more mass appeal. It is fair to point out that talking about emotions is something with a lot of mass appeal, especially for a movie that is appealing to women. Certainly the demographics, I think it was 58% of the movie-going audience for this film were women, and we know that women like to talk about their emotions.
Yeah, they love psychoanalyzing.
Call me sexist. What am I supposed to say?
Talking about their feelings all the time, so this definitely appeals to them. But what was interesting is it seemed like this had a huge jump in the millennial female audience from last time. It mainly appealed to the 2 to 11-year-old demographic the first time around back in 2015 when it came out. This sequel was 21% 35 to 44-year-olds.
Yes.
And that's the biggest jump in demographics.
So they
the
lost
first to the second.
They lost space on 2 to 11-year-olds by a percentage, and they lost space when it comes to 25 to 30. No, they gained space in 25 to 34 and 35 to 44.
Right.
Thoughts on that? From going to toddlers to 35 to 45?
It's mostly it's neurotic white women who love talking about their anxiety. And I looked up, why is Inside Out 2 doing so well? Time listed 3 reasons. They said 1 is Hollywood isn't making enough family movies, so this fills that gap.
Garfield did well.
Secondly, animated sequels generally perform better than live action sequels. I get that.
That was a really, really interesting point, because that's actually true. When you think about Despicable Me,
it's true.
Despicable Me 4 is about to come out.
This
Minions
is a
came out.
9-year gap from the first to the second, which is insane. But thirdly, anxiety is having a moment.
Do you want to explain what they mean by that?
Anxiety is having a moment in pop culture. If you've read the news in the past decade or so, you're probably aware the kids are not all right. There's an anxiety epidemic among teens right now, in part because of the rise of social media. And while Inside Out 2 doesn't address the crushing pressures created by Instagram and TikTok, it does anthropomorphize the common experience of an anxiety attack. And that is Maya Hawke's character. They made an entire character to represent anxiety inside Riley's mind. And I honestly think that this is not going to help any of the young people watching.
No, not in any real meaningful way.
I never thought that I'd get to 34 and think that being bullied and neglected was the dignified route. I just hear these people complain about anxiety and all this stuff. And it's like, yeah, that's what happens.
But also, I don't think you should make that the normalized experience, right? Like, if we're talking about anxiety as a medical diagnosis, like an anxiety disorder, that is not normal, and that is not something you should present as just part of growing up.
What was it we were talking about when Ariana Grande was like, they should have therapists on set? I'm like, that's a sign you're doing things wrong if you need therapists on set.
Yeah.
Right?
And I'm thinking about, like, aging up this character, Riley, to her teen years. She's like 13 in this movie, I believe. She's going into middle school. And wouldn't you make a character for, like, her self-esteem, maybe, instead of anxiety? That seems to make more sense to me as a normal experience for teens.
By the way, I know correlation doesn't lead to causation, except most of the time it does, but we have more people in therapy than ever and more mental illness than ever.
More children in therapy than ever.
Anyone?
Specifically as
Anyone?
well. Yeah.
Not helping? Maybe?
Does it mean that there's an increase in mental health disorders?
And we have less Xbox Live savagery than ever. Anyone? I know correlation doesn't lead to causation, but
I'm going to give
Am I cooking
I'm going to give
right now?
Disney the benefit of the doubt on this, because most of the people who are very heavily critical of Disney aren't seeing anything inherently wrong with this film. It's going to have a 100-day run in the theaters, which is about the best thing that they can do right now, is that with good word of mouth, the drops from week to week will be small. And hopefully...
And the next competitor is Despicable Me 4.
But not just
July.
that, it was the second biggest domestic opening for an animated movie ever, right behind Incredibles 2 back in 2018, which I think was like $182 million domestically. But if you adjust that for inflation, it pushes it like over the $200 million mark. Now, this is going to make money eventually, but it did cost $200 million to make, which means that if you add, if you do the normal formula and you do times 1.5, that means that it's a $300 million movie with marketing. And this movie did have a lot of marketing behind it. So it's very reasonable to believe that that number is on the low side, and they likely put a lot more money into that than they already thought. So if we're seeing a movie that costs we'll low end and say $300 million all in, means it has to make $600 to $700 before it even gets close to getting anywhere near breaking even. That's a lot of money, but at the pace it's going, meaning that it only made about $20 million or $10 million less than what Barbie made in its opening weekend, that could push this to be something that ends in the $800 to $900 million range, assuming that the film does well week to week and doesn't just drop off a cliff.
I understand your argument for why this has a mass appeal factor, but I'm critical of this because I just generally don't like the idea of a franchise growing up with its audience.
And that's
There's
big part
no reason
of this
that you need to do that. Like, think about all of these Disney reboots. They tried to reboot Lizzie McGuire and then trashed that idea. But it's like
$20 there.
Oh, Francisco Sanchez Jr. said, "Welcome back, Burn." Is that your name?
I like Burn.
It's good to see
Burn
the
notice.
2-to-1 female ratio is back on PCC. My thoughts on Inside Out 2. I have none. I found the first one to be dog poop.
It's interesting because almost everybody that I've talked to thought it was like that. I've talked to that saw the movie, liked it. Now these are people that, from the ones that I've talked to, review movies for a living, or at least review movies like on like whether they're using critic lists or they like to talk about movies and stuff like this. The average audience score here, the biggest benefit they have here that I don't see anyone talking about is the 54% of the audience was infrequent moviegoers.
Hey, I have a sincere question based on that. Every time we're here, we're discussing movies, we usually talk about the marketing budget and then like compare it to the ultimate outcome. And it feels that they're like these studios are putting so much money in marketing, but the correlation of money to viewers is still relatively low as it used to be. I feel like movies is going the way of the opera, where it's like an archaic.
That's what Quentin Tarantino was saying. Or what Quentin Tarantino was saying was, he said movies used to be a blue collar industry for viewers, right? Whereas now
Friday night after the school, it was the coolest thing.
Now it's becoming like, the opera or something like that, where only people who actually have money can afford to go to it. So that's actually a really interesting comparison.
Besides that, every time I go to the movies with my wife, it's like 2 more people.
Yeah.
There's no one in the theaters.
Yeah,
ever.
it is. I mean, like we usually go on Thursdays, so we don't have the best example of like.
We're going to the earliest screenings.
So going on a Thursday in the summer, you might get a good gauge of people going to the movies because kids are off school and stuff like that. But if you're going to a Thursday night movie, most of the people don't go till Friday.
But like, do Friday night movies? Are they still full? I wonder.
I have no. I mean, I always go on Thursdays.
Yeah, we
now.
wouldn't know.
It's really funny because I was like, I've been back home twice this year and gone to the Mall of America both times. Since like the only time I'd been to the mall in like 15 years, and the mall's still pretty packed because it's
it's the Mall of America,
but still not close to the numbers that it was doing when I was younger. But still a lot of people there. And to the budgets, that's actually important because Tom Cruise, a big conversation that's going on right now is Mission Impossible 7 Dead Reckoning was one of the most expensive movies ever made because of COVID protocols. It cost a ton of money to make. Well, now they're saying that Mission Impossible 8, the budget is reaching an all-time high. And the last movie lost like $200 million in theaters. Whereas I imagine that a lot of this is just like it costs a lot of money to insure Tom Cruise.
The Mission Impossible budget surpassed $300 million.
That's insane.
Making it the most expensive installment in the franchise. After losing money on the last one, wouldn't you think we should step back and
cut the story down?
maybe not make another one.
I got into a really fun back and forth with somebody on Twitter about budgets in Hollywood, and I said there should be a cap for the next 10 years, well 5 years. No movies exceed $100 million. None. You make do with that amount of money, and I would bet that a lot of times the best stuff is done out of necessity. That great stories would come out of the necessity to make them on a cheaper budget, meaning they had to focus on the story and not necessarily on the special effects. The previs and the special effects would be done better because they would require more forethought rather than just puking a bunch of CGI vomit all over the screen. Like I said, movies like The Creator cost $80 million to make because the director and the visual effects artists were discerning in how they produced it. And I bet you if you put that cap on films for a decade and told the studios you can't spend more than $100 million on movies, that better stuff would come of it, not worse.
But you know what I found is that usually the indie films, I also was along your line of thought, but I feel like they're all just focused on reviving stuff that was poorly done by a studio and then having like a cheap low rent version of it where the script is somewhat better, but it's so low budget that it's still,
$100 million is still not a low budget.
No,
like of $100 million can go a long way.
I mean literally low budget movies, like nowhere close to $1 million.
Yeah. Oh, well, I mean, I want them to take the great script writers who work with little and give them the $100 million movie so that they can make a $100 million movie with the mind of somebody making something for much cheaper.
They did that for Nia DaCosta. How did that go?
Bad script, not a good script. I don't care about the director. I want good script writers, and I want people that are actually producing movies. Like we got a $20 right there from Jen.
Jen Hoove have 2 autistic daughters, and they really enjoyed Inside Out 2. It's a good way for kids on the spectrum to identify some of their emotions. I was pleasantly surprised that they left the woke crap out.
Yeah,
a lot of people thought that this was the one where they're gonna make Riley a lesbian, and thankfully that didn't happen.
Yep.
But just look, think about it. They're obviously going to make a profit of some kind off of this sequel. They're gonna approve the 3rd one, and that's gonna be her in high school, right?
Yeah.
I don't have high hopes for the way they're going to do that. It's gonna be bad.
Well, I mean, and if they want people to take a rosier approach to it, then they have to deliver more actually good movies in a row. Like you need to have more success stories in a row before things turn around. This may turn around the box office for Disney this year, but even Planet of the Apes, which made I think 360 or something million dollars at the box office. Well, that doesn't really matter because it cost $160 million to make. So once you add in marketing and then you split the theater take with it, that one's not breaking even either. Deadpool vs. Wolverine will probably be their best chance at a truly profitable movie next to Inside Out 2. So we'll wait and see where it goes, but it is going to be interesting to see what lessons they take from this. And I think the biggest number there that nobody was talking about was the infrequent moviegoer. What was it that drew people who don't normally go to the movies to go see your film? I always laugh at the idea when people say they can predict how these films are going to do, because I don't know. Even this did way better than expectations, but it's a crapshoot as to why things do well or don't do well these days. I do think that a lot of people, especially those of us who criticize companies like Disney, don't realize that they are still in a bubble of their own making in a little bit, and that the average moviegoer who doesn't, obsessively pay attention to what Bob Iger is saying about working for Disney or about what Disney is making, don't look at things the same way. And they're looking at it in a much more normie perspective. And capturing a normie audience is one of the hardest things to do these days because there's just infinitely other things that they can be doing. There's social media, movies are expensive. There's a lot of reasons why people don't go to the theaters, and not every single one of them has to do with the culture war.
Pixar has another movie coming out, I think later this year, but it's for theaters, not for Disney Plus, as Luca and Turning Red were.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see how that one is going to turn out.
Also, I think if this movie does well for the whole 100-day run, that's a good indicator for them to not just, run it for 30 days or 2 weeks and then dump it on streaming.
Right.
So, all right, let us move on then, shall we? We have more to discuss today. So what was it? Was this last week that we talked about Chris Brown and this person?
Yeah, we have an update. So obviously Chris Brown's meet and greets with his female fans are completely out of pocket.
I don't think we ever talked about the guys who went either.
There were guys getting felt up by Chris Brown.
Not felt up, but getting pictures with, paying for meet and greets with Chris Brown.
But he wasn't doing this stuff as we're seeing on screen right now. He's picking up this woman and having him straddle him. I don't think he was doing that with any of his male fans. But there was a woman in his crowd who held up a sign that said, like, I called off my engagement to go to this concert because her fiance didn't want her to go to a Chris Brown meet and greet and get felt up by Chris Brown. And that alleged ex-fiance responded to the situation. He said, "This was my soon-to-be fiance. I am heartbroken, devastated, embarrassed, and bamboozled. Once I've seen this photo and seen how viral it's gotten with the insensitive, supportive comments, I ended the engagement immediately."
I mean, I wouldn't have married somebody with such a blurry face either.
Yeah, she has like 8 pixels.
There's a $20 super chat there from Pop Culture Junkie.
There is a consistent thread among the people I talk to in Hollywood regarding budgets. Poor planning and the entire fix-it-in-post mentality has increased movie production costs by 40% or more.
Absolutely. Like, there is a reason why, even for the people that didn't like the movie, I go back to the creator costing $80 million, because it did not look like an $80 million movie, and Gareth Edwards filmed it on, like, entry-level cinema cameras and did the post-production in such a way that they went out and filmed on physical locations, which means there was a lot of previs done. There was great storyboarding. There was on-site or on-location shooting, which adds to the realism. There is a reason why movies made 20 years ago that have CGI look more realistic, because when you put computer-generated images against an actual background, it looks more real than when the whole thing is created in post. And you can blame Victoria Alonso over at Marvel, who lost her job, who is, in head of the special effects department. And one of the things that they talked about was that poor planning led to ballooning budgets, and they haven't fixed that issue.
Dude, so I think this is, before the show started, we were joking about how basically, like, children are not learning, and we wonder how the power grid is going to be sustained. There is a recurring, and Brett said it's the phones, and people are losing like their attention.
I have the attention
spans.
span of a child.
But it's like there is a lack of focus across every aspect of life right now, and it might be a result of this instant gratification culture. But as we were talking about this movie and how it's a sequel, and then everything's a sequel or a remake or a reimagining, podcasts they're like thematic, drama based. Everything is a copy of everything. And I wonder now, is that that we have no ability to focus, and we're never left to our own thoughts to derive anything original.
Yeah. Yep. Like, to me, like, when we get stuff ready for the show, I have to actually sit down and say, this is what I'm doing right now. Now, I know people who can go about their daily lives and thoughts will come to them. They'll write it into a notebook and they'll continue on that later. My brain isn't wired that way. I have to physically sit down in a specific environment to write out my thoughts for things like that. But I envy the people who are able to kind of move between ideas while they're out doing other things, but not everybody can do that. I mean, I know a lot of stand-up comedians get a lot of their best work that way, right? They observe situations in the real world and they have to make notes of that as they're experiencing it, because they have to write it into work later.
I literally see the world as lists, and it's a weird thing, but yeah.
Yep. But yeah, so Chris, there was also, did you see he got like stuck, like he was like in a harness recently at a show,
didn't see that,
and the harness got stuck in the air and they had to get him down with like a ladder.
No Chris Brown concert should require a harness.
I love that.
Fly him in the air.
That's my favorite.
So not needed.
My favorite meme template now is like whoever this person is never needed this setup.
Also, dancing pretty good seems to outweigh domestic abuse.
Yep.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, none of these
know.
women going to his meet and greets seem to care that he's a violent maniac.
No, they seem...
They might even be more attracted to him because...
Thank you!
Thank you!
I've missed this.
Really?
Yes.
You missed the crisis party?
I missed the crisis party.
Give us more.
Give us more.
One of the comments said, honestly, if a photo can end your engagement, maybe it wasn't built to last.
He was looking
It's
for
not
any
just a
reason.
photo, dude. It's not just a photo. Look at this. He's grabbing her ass.
It's a very low IQ straw man response.
Yeah.
It's not just a photo.
Yeah.
So good for this guy. He dodged a bullet.
Hell, he was looking for any reason to leave her. Like,
Yeah.
So we mentioned earlier that I was flying home yesterday. Well, I'm very glad that I didn't experience a flight with this lady. Rude influencer hogs airplane bathroom to show off skincare for TikTok followers. I don't know if it's as bad as the guy who was cooking in the bathroom.
Oh, no,
one,
that's not nearly.
But
bad.
this is why I don't. I've never used a bathroom in an airplane. So but I imagine like you're knocking on the door and you just like this lady walks out with like a ring light in her hand.
This is just, I think this is unsanitary. Like, why are you in this disgusting airplane bathroom? Everyone knows airplane bathrooms are gross.
Let's listen to what
She's brushing her teeth in there.
I'm not getting muted for this.
Ew. Just ew.
first birth control.
Yes, make sure.
See,
you take that.
even TikTok doesn't like this lady. It's like making it not.
She was in there for 15 minutes. I actually was in line for an airplane bathroom once, and this person stayed in there for like 15 to 20 minutes cleaning the bathroom.
Sick.
He wasn't one of the flight attendants. He was literally just cleaning the bathroom.
Just OCD SF.
For his own peace of mind. And then he came out and he was like, just thought that you guys might want to, be in a clean bathroom. And I'm like, I would have preferred to not wait here.
Every time I see one of these, I'm like, what is wrong with women?
I see them doing this in their seats in the
I feel like
airplane.
women, the types that do videos have completely given up on the social contract. Because I feel like dudes in general, they're like lonely and dejected, but should they be given purpose, they would take it. These women that do these videos are self-absorbed to a level that I cannot comprehend. I'm not trying to be hyperbolic. I do not comprehend how you get there. She's like, I'm gonna be inconsiderate to 100 people just for this TikTok for 13 views.
Yep.
Insane. Like,
It's more views than that, to
Well,
be fair to her.
this lady's getting plenty of
She
views.
is an influencer for a living,
Yeah.
so this is her job, as being a menace to society.
Yeah. Did you see that Tiffany Gomez had a video flying a plane recently?
She's a pilot now? She's one of the DEI pilots?
I mean, I don't know if she's like a full-fledged pilot.
What if she
but
starts seeing shit in the air and then she just
Totally plausible.
nosedives?
Totally plausible.
She's gonna be like, that cloud right there is not real.
It's a hell of an arc to have.
Yeah.
Eventually, she'll start her own like.
They're just letting anybody fly planes.
She will start her own like tourist service where she flies people around.
I saw Anthony Cumia. He posted a photo of his pilot, and he just saw the forearm of the pilot. He was like, "White, check." I'm like, you got to think about these things.
classic.
You don't want to die in a DEI flight.
Yeah.
But the planes drive themselves, right?
Well, basically these days, probably. I wouldn't know from experience, but yeah.
All right. Time to move on, guys. What the hell is this? I haven't watched it yet.
Yeah, you guys know these bikini coffee shops that these baristas just wear bikinis while serving people
The most
coffee?
American thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, it's basically Hooters, but it's a drive-through coffee stand, and
Okay.
they're wearing bikinis. And this lady got into an altercation with one of the customers and threw a hammer into his windshield.
Here we go.
Here he is throwing the coffee at her.
From a South Seattle coffee stand, Taste of Heaven Espresso is getting a lot of attention.
Women are allowed when there is danger in ways other than crime.
She says he was
I love that women just get to be completely like just not objective about what the idea of danger is.
Well, the guy, I don't know who.
I love the idea that throwing coffee at a closed window's proportional
No, and the-
response is a hammer.
He was giving violence vibes, so I took my hammer and I crushed his
even though he's a
windshield.
repeat customer.
For a customer to get out of
She has tattoos of bones on her hand. To be fair, the guy probably should have seen this coming.
The signs were everywhere.
but especially to threaten, to argue, to any of those things, is so wildly inappropriate. The conversation needs to change from what did she do to deserve that.
That's insane.
To
Is she making this into some kind of Me Too thing?
No, one of my biggest problems with
You shouldn't have been wearing that bikini.
One of my biggest problems with the modern age of women, it's not the bad behavior, it's trying to make it some type of social justice cause. If you want to just do bad behavior, I'm okay with that. Just stop trying to do bad behavior and then justify.
Dude,
They're calling her the newest gay icon, and one person said, "Queen, retail employees should be allowed to hammer someone's car once a week at least."
Dude, can modern progressive women be saved? Like, I have no...
It's all been about
Look, what the guy did was not good either.
No,
I'm not
no.
saying the guy did
No.
something right. I'm saying that maybe if she takes a coffee and throws a coffee on his car,
Reciprocal.
perfectly
Yeah,
proportional response. Hammer, not so much. Call me
Well,
crazy.
I don't know who's gonna get charged in this.
I also saw this story the other day. I don't even have the article pulled up of like this coffee shop. They had 3 locations and they unionized and immediately shut down all 3 coffee shops. And then the women that lost their jobs at the coffee shop protested outside of the now closed business. So they're technically not protesting anyone.
It's just an empty building.
It's
that
just
they're
an empty building.
protesting against the empty building.
Yes.
But, you know, it is kind of crazy that this guy has been to the same coffee stand multiple times. He knows what the prices are, but today just wasn't it for
Just
him. And he's like,
today was too
$8? Hell no.
I
Like,
mean, I went to Wendy's the other day and paid like $14 for like two double stacks and a thing of chicken nuggets. It's like what radicalized you?
What time did you
That.
go? But what time did you go? Did you see that Wendy's is doing?
That's
like,
not yet. I don't think they've started the surge pricing yet.
No?
I don't think they've started. If they have, I'm pissed.
wait, I thought they said they were going to be selling 50 nuggets for $12.
Well, we didn't get that. So
I want that. But you can just throw nuggets at them.
when there is danger in ways other than crime.
She says he was complaining about the price.
Danger. Like, what if the window were open? Would it be dangerous then?
It's throwing like it. Technically, he shouldn't be doing it. He's committing assault by
Why
throwing.
does she
drink
have
at
a
person.
hammer though?
Yeah. Well, that's the better question. Where did the hammer come from?
Is he like
So-
Mario Brothers? Like,
I
what's
think
going on?
I think
Like,
that
she
she's
just had that at the ready. She packs
How?
a hammer with her to work
Why is
every
it-
day.
she's got- Why does she have a hammer at
She's got
work?
like carpenter jeans on that have the little like hammer hold on the side.
So are bikini baristas sex workers?
I have no idea.
Would they count?
And to be fair, again, to her credit, this guy didn't go to like Starbucks and have this happen. He went to a bikini coffee shop.
You're paying overpriced coffee to see women in bikinis.
You're not gonna get the most well-adjusted.
Also,
Yeah.
why would you go through a drive-through for a bikini place? Like,
They're always drive-through places. They don't do it.
but is the coffee that banging? Was like, listen, I'll pay the markup, but like this job is insane.
You only see her from like the waist up, anyways, because it's a drive-through. So I don't really know what the point is, but he clearly was unhinged.
Yep,
They deserve each other. They deserve each
the
other.
true
truly.
story here should be like they end up matching on Tinder and fall in love.
Yeah, they matched each other's freak.
That would be great. That would be great. I would
She
love
said,
that.
"Is somebody gonna match my freak?" And he was like, "That's me."
I will.
He hammers her.
I mean,
car.
I wouldn't. The sad thing is, we live in an age now where I see stuff like this, and I wouldn't be surprised if this was viral marketing
Maybe.
that's done. Like, to
He's the
adver-
owner of
if
the-
there was
coffee
more
shop.
shots of like the logo of the business, and she's wearing like a big name tag, then I would be
Yeah.
more suspicious. But it could just be viral marketing today. Pretty much everything we see on the internet is fake.
Yeah.
So
Except for everything we tell you. Everything we tell you is real.
if I tell you it's real, it's real.
Yeah.
Don't just trust me.
Just believe us.
Just trust me. All right. Sydney Sweeney and her, she works hard every day to prove that she is the last bastion of awesomeness in Hollywood. And she has found yet another reason to be loved by the masses, has she not?
Yes, Sydney Sweeney accidentally outed herself for pirating Law and Order episodes on Instagram. And she, you know, I know that this wasn't on purpose. She just took a picture of the TV screen, and you could tell by the video player that this is not, you know, on an official streaming service. She stole the content.
Good for her.
That is so real of her, honestly.
So relatable.
Yeah, I mean, look, I am not promoting piracy at all. You should definitely pay $12 a month to watch Law and Order episodes.
Organized crime.
Okay, but I do find it funny.
I do watch old episodes of the original. You can't even get like the 1990 Law and Order anywhere. Like I have like the episodes when the show like was going from like 2001 and like all the storylines involving like terrorism because it's taking place in New York back in 2001. And there's this episode called American Jihad, and it's about like an American he's basically a radicalized American who converts to Islam, and the whole story ends up being about how he's basically an incel. And
it's not too far off from reality.
Crazy. Like if you go back and watch, it was like season 13 or season 12, episode 1, and the whole thing is basically like he ends up converting because women make fun of him, and that's basically the whole episode.
Like top 3 fondest memories of my life is that I would go to a friend's house to study for the history final, the last final of my high school ever. We did not study at all. We watched Law and Order SVU. And then in the car ride, I was really concerned. I was like, dude, we didn't study at all. We just watched Law and Order, and I don't know anything. And my friend Andres Joveras, he told me this. I love him to this day. He looked at me. He's like, we'll look back on this day and laugh. And then he played, what's that song? Like, just a small town girl. And we literally, what's the name of the song?
I don't know. This is living
in the lonely world. Come on, what's the name of the song?
I don't know.
She took a midnight train going in.
Everyone knows the lyric. I can't.
And the thing is, it is literally one of the fondest memories of my life, and I look back at it and laugh.
He was right.
Everything was okay.
I was informed reliably that there is no such thing that says South Detroit. I was informed reliably by somebody from Michigan that there is no South Detroit.
What?
It's not a real place.
I mean, there's a South
What do
place
you
in
mean?
Detroit, so.
There's a southern region of Detroit.
Don't Stop Believing is the name of the song.
Oh, right.
I never listened to the chorus because I'm not 80 years old. So I listened to that song. But the point, yes, no such thing as a South Detroit.
Yeah.
Yes, there is. What are we talking about?
Sweeney is an icon.
She is.
Okay.
She's an icon, she's a legend, and she is the moment.
I've never seen a single episode of Law and Order. I've never seen a single episode of SVU or Organized Crime. No.
Brett Dazovic hasn't seen SVU?
I only watched the original and Criminal Intent with Vincent D'Onofrio.
Dude, that is completely down your alley. SVU.
Yeah, I mean, I find something particularly depressing about literally every episode being about sex crimes, but call me crazy.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's depressing.
I think women like SVU
but they get
because
caught.
it contributes to their neuroticism.
It does. Yeah. And
as a woman, yeah. But they get caught in the end. So it's like, yay.
The lead actress has been doing that show. Mariska Hargitay has been doing that show for like 1,000 years. Her and the lady from Ellen Pompeo from Grey's Anatomy are together. They're literally just jump into piles of money when they get home. They take a slide down.
Seriously.
They're like what's his name in not Ducksworth, the dude who jumps into the pile of money.
Scrooge McDuck.
Scrooge McDuck.
Well, that's
DuckTales.
You know, Sydney Sweeney isn't there yet. She has complained in the past about how she's not paid enough.
So she's got a pirate.
She has to keep working. She can't afford all of these streaming services increasing their prices every month.
She just bought a $13 million mansion in Miami.
Yeah, she's got a mortgage to pay.
I got a mortgage to pay. I'm not paying for Netflix.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that. Somebody's like, well, if you want to watch Law and Order, you can get Peacock. She's like, what the hell is a Peacock? I'm not doing that. I'm getting it off a pirate site.
I hope she used one of those softwares that gave your computer viruses to do it.
I've also changed my mind. I'm now all down for like non-Johnny Depp Pirates of the Caribbean if they hire Sydney Sweeney.
Actually, I 100% believe that she got her fiance to pirate it for her.
100%. Like, yeah.
She's like, figuring out BitTorrent is hard.
Yeah, exactly.
Talking is hard. All right. So you guys talked yesterday or on Monday about Justin Timberlake, right?
Yeah. Justin Timberlake was recently arrested on Monday night for a DWI, and there were a lot of rumors going around. First off, I wanted to react to his mugshot.
He looks like Rachel Maddow.
Hold on. Here we go. I got it pulled up here. I like it.
This is every person with blue eyes when they say, "Did you notice that my eyes are blue?" He said my eyes change color sometimes. Sometimes they're green and sometimes they're blue.
I always say that.
That's literally you in the mugshot.
I guess they look kind of lizardy though. Am I crazy?
Think? Do you think that this is a Justin Timberlake clone?
Take a peek. Take a peek at the eyes. Chat.
So the internet as a whole got duped by. Okay, let me rewind this. One of the things you have to do when you do this job and you're sourcing stuff to talk about is you have to suss out the real from the fake. Now, two of the most common to do that, we follow a lot of accounts like Discussing Film.
Yeah.
Well, there is a parody account called Disbussing Film that is always trying to trick you into reacting to something that's not real. Well, there's another one called Pop Crave that has a very, very legendary satire account that is also similar called Poo Crave.
Yes, and they reported that Justin Timberlake was allegedly, they found traces of Molly, poppers, Truvada, and coke in his bloodstream following his DWI arrest.
Well, this was not real, ladies and
I
gentlemen.
wish it were real.
It would have meant that Justin was having the time of his life right before he got arrested.
By the way, I didn't know this, but Truvada is basically PrEP. It's preventative HIV medicine.
Yes.
But yes, it was satire, not real. But what was real is Page Six is reporting that the cop didn't know who he was, didn't recognize his name or anything. And reportedly, Justin said under his breath, "This is gonna ruin the tour." And the cop replied, "What tour?" And Justin said, "The world tour."
Have you ever noticed how celebrities hate being recognized until they get arrested and then they suddenly like, don't you know who I am?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we reacted to Lil Baby's
You should do that.
cop run in.
You ever get pulled over? Ever been pulled over driving?
Yes, you know this.
I know, but I didn't want to just, make a joke about you being a bad driver.
I am a bad driver, and it's funny.
Okay, you should just start saying, "Don't you know who I am?"
Yes, I should do that. I am a podcastress. You can't do this to me.
Dude, by the way,
You're gonna ruin the podcast.
I hadn't gotten a single ticket since I lived in the U.S. This year I've had 3. Like, I don't know.
Damn. That's bad.
And like 2 in 1 month.
Your
I was like,
insurance
what
is
is
just
going
blowing up
on?
right now? But I noticed there are a lot of cops around here, so you got to keep an eye out.
Yeah,
Yeah. But
there's a lot of cops and a lot of deer.
they caught JT lacking.
Yes.
Clearly.
I saw also what I wanted to see more memes of. There's if you ever saw the Mother Lover music video with him and Andy Samberg,
Yes.
the start of it. So at the end of Dick in a Box, they get arrested for public indecency, and then at the start of Mother Lover, it takes place with them leaving jail, dropping the boxes into the garbage. They should have taken screenshots because it like pans from penitentiary and down to them.
Not to brag, but I can sing that entire song.
You want to do it?
No.
Okay, we won't
It's
ask you to do that.
But thanks for the offer.
That
though.
was maybe the last, other than Levi Wokes, that was probably the last time Saturday Night Live was actually remotely funny. Was those videos? That and Three Way with Lady Gaga, which you wouldn't be able to make today either.
You know, I just knew people would be celebrating
that one
about
too.
Justin Timberlake having an L come his way because they posted pictures of Britney Spears in the replies saying Karma is her boyfriend, Karma is a god. Like, because that mention of him in her memoir about pressuring her to get an abortion, they basically just think that he deserves what comes to him.
I love that people who would have spent the last, like everybody being mad at Justin Timberlake, and rightfully so, if he's pressuring her to get an abortion, would then unequivocally be like, good for her if she chose to do it on her own.
Definitely, they're hypocrites.
It's
of
not
course.
the abortion that
It's the
bothers them.
pressure.
It's the fact that a guy wants the abortion and not the girl.
Yeah, exactly.
But if a guy says, "I don't want you to kill my baby," will
How
you please
dare
give
you pressure her not to get an abortion?
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
like it's your kid or anything.
Exactly. Well, they actually do believe that. Like a lot of them, it's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
People are insane. So good for Justin for being out having fun. Bad on Justin for driving while doing it. Not good.
Yeah, like just you can afford a driver.
Yes.
You know?
No, that's the craziest
Like,
part, right? Like, dude, you've got money. You don't even have to get like a taxi. Get an Uber. Like,
Right.
I don't think surge pricing is affecting you.
No. I mean, maybe he's struggling and we don't know. That's why
If
he's
I
going
was
on the
rich,
world
I would
tour.
never drive again.
And
I hate driving.
I saw people posting about his recent music video and trying to make this into some kind of satanic conspiracy. And then they involved this, class action lawsuit in which he happens to be a defendant. They're trying to make this into some kind of like, he's the next P. Diddy thing. And it's so not landing.
Every time it's really funny. There's a couple of, he's kind of his own version of not Mark Wahlberg, of Chris Pratt, where whenever Justin Timberlake comes up, it's either Britney Spears or Janet Jackson.
Yeah.
and how he kind of
That
gets away
was-
with everything.
The Janet Jackson thing was totally staged, though. I thought everyone knew that.
People say, I don't know how staged it was or what it was, but I know that people get very mad when that topic comes up. You know.
Yeah.
All right. What would you guys like to see? Cringe or cute of the day?
Always
you
cringe
decide.
first.
Cringe first. Are we doing a sandwich today?
Actually, yeah. Let's sandwich it because we had
All
a
right.
couple of
We got a couple of them
cringes
today.
that we wanted to feature.
First things first, let's look at this one. So, have you ever wondered what like a female that looks like teenage Tucker Carlson would look like?
Oh god.
It's terrifying.
It really is.
This poor woman, honestly.
Being a well-established gay, I never imagined myself on the side of TikTok that thinks I look like Tucker Carlson, but here we are.
And maybe I do.
I gotta be honest, I know of this man, but I could not pick him out of a lineup.
Well, you could just look in the mirror and then look for the person
Seriously.
who looks a lot like you.
So I'm gonna Google him, and we're gonna see if you guys are onto something or not. Oh, I spelled his name wrong.
How do you spell Tucker wrong?
Yeah, I don't know.
Tukker?
Has anyone ever looked more like a person?
She totally did.
No, I think she's trying to say like, no,
What?
like she doesn't see it.
No, I'm saying
She's
but when
saying she doesn't see it.
No, I know, but when she made that face, she looked
Unreal.
even more like him. Wait.
She's doing that. She's gonna do the mouth open like.
Wait, this is definitely Tucker's like long lost daughter, right?
100%.
What?
What do you
But
mean?
if she had a different haircut, would we be able to see it?
She's like, I don't care about the green M&M's go-go boots.
Like, it's not just the haircut, but the haircut definitely helps.
Yes.
Is she really gonna claim she doesn't see it though?
It's impossible.
I feel so bad for her though. Like, it's true. I think they might be related. This is his long lost daughter.
Very
They could
possible.
reconnect from this.
Very possible. All right, let's do some cute of the day as well, ladies and gentlemen. Feel bad for this poor lady. This one's from Joshua James. You didn't do this one yesterday, did you?
No.
Okay, it
No.
says, here's Ella in her favorite spot, the hammock in the window. Monday evening, there were 2 possums making babies outside her window.
Oh, that looks cozy.
That does look cozy.
That's a whole vibe.
Uh,
She was just watching like a
Possum
a
sex.
weird voyeur. Okay, we didn't want to see possum sex in
sex.
cute of the day. That is not cute. Not cute. Cat is cute.
Little possum sex.
Possum sex, not cute.
all right, one more here. This is from Terrence Rice. Thick Luna.
Very thick, very fluffy. Well, she's not fat. She's just fluffy. That's obviously all fur.
It's very regal.
Love it.
Right?
Aw. Cute.
Aww. Wants out.
I love when cats do this.
All right. Very cute.
Trying to escape her reality.
Time to go back to cringe of the day. We have a
Yep.
second one here. This is from Alpha Fox. Says, have you ever noticed how snotty Taylor Swift is?
We need the close up.
Can't do the music though. I'm sorry.
Ew.
And she's like artfully wiping it off on her clothes, and then there's
Oh my
dangling.
God.
She likes.
That's all I can do. I'm sorry,
She
guys.
likes to eat her own snot.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
she's just like me.
But the way that she tried to make it part of her choreography, like wiping it and then like wiping it on her clothes, like trying to make it part of the performance.
Poor girl.
All right, now that we've grossed ourselves out, and it has, let's go ahead and get started then, shall we, Mary?
Yes, it looks like Gamergate 2.0 or 3.0 or whatever you want to
Can
call
we
it is
turn it
heating
down a
up.
bit?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So there is a new character in the Gamergate 2.0 universe who is now being dubbed Frosk 2.0 because she has instigated a war with gamers. She has actually challenged them to a physical fight with her. And in order to explain why, we have to go back multiple months. This year, the controversy originally started when this game, Farm Folks, made an announcement on their X. They wanted input from the audience
They
saying,
spell folks with an X. That's
no,
the first
no,
sign that
no.
they weren't doing it
just,
right.
Just KS.
There's a $20 one there.
WWE under Triple H's leadership is a bright oasis of normalcy in a desert of woke nonsense in other facets of entertainment. They're even collaborating with TNA and New Japan, thus making Tony Clown's collabs a sad joke. That's from Dat Pie over there.
Yeah, I did see that they were sending like WWE talent. That's very rare for a promotion like WWE to work with companies that aren't them, meaning like a lot of the other independent companies work together and they send their wrestlers to work with other promotions. WWE doing that is a really big deal. Look, I don't watch WWE on a regular basis anymore. I don't know what the
Triple H
baseline
was my favorite though.
for normalcy. Yeah, because very few people get to be so good at just
Kellen
being
was
a bad person.
Kellen was
rules.
counter
He
signaling
rules.
WWE yesterday, saying that it's gay. You might have to get into it.
He
with
does
him.
his nails.
Not anymore.
He did his
Okay,
nails.
so Farm Folks tweeted out, it is a now deleted tweet. All right, folks, it's time for some serious game development talk. We're tinkering with character physics in Farm Folks. Burning question, which version has the perfect breast jiggle physics? And they asked, does anyone want to see what 150% looks like? And this is a now deleted tweet, so we can't show it to you. I just sent you the screenshot, Brett, if you want to pull that up on screen. And they got a lot of backlash in response. Firstly, from DEI consultants in the video game industry, Black Girl Gamers.
Did you just send it? I didn't get it.
They, I can't really find it now for you, but they replied to him saying, "This ain't it." They just decided to go with the shame tactics, and it immediately worked. Farm Folks deleted that original tweet about breast jiggle physics,
And then
they
apologized.
issued an official apology. They said, "Hey folks, we'd like to address a recent post where we came to our community asking for feedback. Our intent is always to connect and grow with our players, but it's clear that we really missed the mark on our recent community feedback post. For that, we sincerely apologize. We had received concerns about the female player model's breast physics in the past, and we thought we should ask the community what felt more appropriate. Unfortunately, this crossed a line. We tried to foster a welcoming community, and the post and subsequent replies made many of our community members uncomfortable and alienated.
Never
The reply
apologize,
made
guys.
about 150% physics was also inappropriate, and we apologize for that. We're taking the necessary steps to learn from this, and we're committed to doing better moving forward.
Never
we
learn.
value the feedback of our community and work hard to include everyone in the discussion. We want to create a game that feels alive, which is why we pay close attention to every aspect of our world, from how weather and time affect the world to characters' interactive presence within it. We want everyone to feel included in the game development, and we'll be reevaluating how to best interact with the community, and as well how to best ask for feedback from the community in the future. Your input is instrumental as we continue to develop Farm Folks. We'll keep sharing updates and progress on X and Discord. Your enjoyment and how you choose to experience our world is our utmost priority. Thank you for being a part of our journey and for your support and understanding as we grow."
Dude, what a long-winded statement.
Never promise to do better. Ever.
Yeah, and it didn't work out well for them because as they acquiesced to the backlash, their CEO did an interview with the Kotaku senior editor, Alyssa Mercante. And in this interview, he tried to fix things in the public image. He tried to say that there were good people on both sides, you might say. And they brought on his interview for this article, Farm Folks CEO on Backlash, Boob Physics, and Bad Actors. His name is Alex Koshlikov, and
Very close to Kalishnikov.
yes, he said the wording was silly about the original post.
Wait, what is his name?
Alex
So
Koshlikov.
he's literally AK. That's awesome. Okay.
And he said the response was overwhelming and unfortunate because the internet is almost a one-sided court where no matter what we say, it doesn't matter. The original idea was to make sure that we're doing breast physics right because our game is immersive. It's not that we're fixated on women's parts. Our entire character body is full of technology. To me, breast movement was not controversial since it's human biology. He insisted that he wasn't even following the discourse about Stellar Blade. And he said, I learned more about it recently, so that's why we really wouldn't gaslight and pretend like we didn't know. But they did not give him the benefit of the doubt after apologizing and acquiescing. And the people who, didn't care for that response then gave him a lot of backlash, and then he was thrown under the bus. It sounds like this guy just isn't part of the culture war discourse and wasn't aware what was going to happen when he posted that. And he was taken by surprise. And after this article came out from Melissa Mercante at Kotaku, he said that he felt misrepresented by the reporting.
Shocking.
Yeah, shocking, right? I don't know why he chose to do the interview in the first place, but he was just
it's
so
for that
naive.
exact reason that you just said, because he's not paying attention to the culture.
Yeah, he didn't know that this person has a track record. So after he said he felt misrepresented by her reporting, Alyssa Mercante said, I said this to him during our interview, but the Farmfolk CEO attempts to not be political are very naive in our current climate. His replies are very telling. You got pulled into the culture war because you don't have a CM who knew that titty physics wasn't the move, chief. Then you apologized. Then the titty physics gooners got mad that you apologized, and then I interviewed you. Them's the breaks. And he responded to her saying, hi, Alyssa, you've been using me as a tool against your nemesis, and I'm not sure if it was intentional or accidental. You misrepresented a few of my points. In our dialogue, you agreed that it's all cool to have women's breast movement in games. You reached me for clarification yourself and then refused to share it with your readers on X. And he responded, or Alyssa Mercante responded saying, hi, Alex, I'm not a PR person. You spoke to me for over an hour. The entire copy of our conversation was never going to be published in the piece. I maintain that your attempts to remain neutral are naive, as I told you, and I wish you luck. The most snarky way possible.
That whole thing was just pure snark.
So after that whole discourse went down, after that whole back and forth, people essentially villainized her, rightly so, for misrepresenting what he meant to say. And he didn't know what he was getting into. I understand that. Then Alyssa Mercante made an appearance on Giant Bomb's channel during the Summer Game Fest in LA, and she was on this panel of a bunch of people in the middle of this Twitter firestorm going on, and decided to make herself the victim. She talked about how people are sending her death threats, and she's had to report thousands upon thousands of accounts, and she is framing herself as the next Zoe Quinn, the next Frosk from G4 TV, and I just thought we should look at that appearance in its full context.
She has the same physiognomy.
As bad, just exactly as horrible as it is. So here's her challenging physical fight.
I want people in the industry to be a little bit louder about people being mean to other people. And maybe say it's not a good thing.
Yeah.
Maybe say we don't want you around if you're gonna be a cunt.
Yeah.
And hateful.
Yeah.
And that the games industry is diverse naturally. Not because anyone's making them be diverse. Because the world is diverse, you stupid motherfucker.
Her face.
And if you have a problem with that, come fight me. Physically. Bitch.
Has anyone taken you up on that yet?
No, because they're all pussies.
Yep.
This is what I expected this show to be from the start. We got like 40 minutes of nice chat.
It gets worse.
Calling people out.
Well, I didn't want to make it all about that because they're all sitting there with their fucking dicks at half chub, ready to fucking go. They're talking about me. They're talking about me.
We're all gonna wait. We're all gonna wake up tomorrow, and there's
Their
gonna be like
wife
20.
is like, honey, please come to bed. They're like, not now.
There's gonna be like
someone's tangentially mentioned me, sorta, kind of.
There's gonna be like 20 YouTube videos that are gonna have all of our faces plastered upon them. Whoa!
I almost printed a face. He's a shill for me. Did you know that? He simps for me. He simps for me. He's simping for me right now.
All right, yeah. It really got, I mean, at this point, I'm like, when I deal with these people now, I do just ignore them, and they go away so fast.
They do, but then they don't. I mean, it depends on, like, if they've picked one person,
and it
turns out it's usually a woman.
It's usually a woman, that's why, exactly. That's what's good. Like, they disappear, and I'm like, that is why, because they found the target that makes them money.
Yeah, I am their kryptonite.
Yes.
I am smart, hot, slutty, good at my job, and I don't shut the fuck up.
Yep.
And they're like, I want to fucking jerk off to her, but I also want to kill her. Like, they literally don't know what to do.
it is just hating women. It's just
hating women.
100%,
yeah,
yes.
and I think really briefly, and then you guys can do whatever you want. I just want to I have a very quick segue that is very important to me.
Well, we got to raise some money.
Yeah, of course.
Now, this next part is her throwing shade at Mark
from a sympathetic
Kern.
party, a former developer on a failed game called Firefall. He has sent me all of the merch. Is this inside out? No, it's good.
Ooh, the StarCraft logo.
He has sent me all of the merch that you got if you worked at Firefall 10 years ago. I have Letterman's jackets. I have Dev button-downs. I have stuffed animals.
Well, I didn't get all that stuff. That's crazy.
I have a beer fucking glass. And we're going to be auctioning it off for Trans Lifeline. And you can suck me from the back for free. But you got to pay money for this. So I will model it. Maybe I'll wear one of them when I work out and you can pay extra for it. But we're going to be auctioning off all of this shit for charity after I get back from SGF. I have all of this.
And all the Firefall fans out there are just going to be losing it for this.
Am I the only one that had never fucking heard of this game in my life?
Most people haven't. I had to learn by force.
Do you know this deal with Firefall? Like,
yeah, so this
for my sins, yeah.
56-year-old person tried to make a game, didn't make a game, blew a bunch of money on a sperm-shaped bus from West Coast Customs, and it failed. But the people who worked on that game were great people from what I understand, and from what I've heard, they are sympathetic to the cause, and they also think that he is a twat. So we are going to raise money for this, for trans charity, because they're assholes, and I want to do something good for this. So, yeah.
Yeah. So this woman is essentially everything that's wrong with the games industry right now. People like her, people like Frosk. They are the reason why it's like this now. And she was throwing shade at Mark Kern. I think he's the former team lead of World of Warcraft. But he was also in the mix with all of this discourse.
Well, it's really funny because him and Camelot's tweet responses to the initial post from Farm Folks are exactly what the responses should have been. Camelot said, apologizing to the people that didn't support you anyways is like stepping willingly into a noose and kicking the chair. And then Mark Kern says, the correct response would have been to get go 200% as another joke on the jiggle physics.
Yeah, this Farm Folks
at which point your game would have gotten 10 times the support and visibility. This is a classic mistake. Never apologize. These people are not buying customers, and they never will be.
Yeah, unfortunately, this Farm Folks CEO had to learn that lesson the hard way, which is that it's always a mistake to apologize to a big group of people on the internet. And, you know, you just need to keep it pushing and do what you want to do. I think that he's kind of like fallen by the wayside in all of this, because that clip of her challenging someone to a fight got way more attention. Funnily enough, friend of the show, Vera Dark, accepted the challenge. She said, like, meet me in the ring, bitch. Let's go. And unfortunately, she cowered away after that.
This was, Vera had a tweet about this.
Yes, she like posted the whole saga here.
I'm gonna have to mute the audio because it's a song.
I want people in the industry to be a little bit louder. Maybe say, we don't want you around if you're gonna be a cunt.
Yeah.
And hateful. The games industry is diverse naturally. Not because anyone's making them be diverse. Because the world is diverse, you stupid motherfucker. And if you have a problem with that, come fight me. Physically.
It's, what's her name from the Young Turks all over again?
Anna Kasparian?
Yeah.
Is it?
Did anyone take you up on that yet?
No, because they're all pussies.
I'm better than you.
Yeah.
All over again.
3 days later.
So Vera said that she was down for a match, and Alyssa Mercante said that she wasn't going to do it because then Keemstar came in and he said, I'll host the match. I'll do this. And she said, I don't want to give you money. I don't like you, Keemstar. And then he said, well, I won't profit from it. We can just do this for charity. And then she just kind of ghosted. She said, the promotion, the refereeing, the security, how do you pay for that? Who earns money from ticket sales? If all the proceeds from this event go to approved charities, that's a different story. But no morally corrupt person is making money off me. Hope that's clear. And now she's saying that Vera is just a YouTube rage peddler who has been using her to make money and get views. She's not doing it for this. If you want to box for a cause, not to boost your disgusting little corner of the internet.
But that's not why you should be boxing. You should be boxing because you literally asked people to come fight you.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, but she did not back up her own words with actions.
I have so many thoughts that I'm trying to like compile them. But the most important thing for me right now currently is that there is a division in literally every aspect of society now, where even like gamers can't just be gamers and enjoy a game. Now it's progressive gamers versus normal people gamers. And it's just so freaking exhausting. And I just can't help but feel, and perhaps I'm right, perhaps I'm wrong. Everyone, like, please let me know your thoughts, that it's the uglies pushing everyone aside because they think we're gonna bully them or something. It's some unresolved trauma. And it's like, if you were just chill, we could get along. Like, I don't know how long this can sustain, even from their side, this faux outrage, faux bravery. Like, in the entire spiel I mean, I'm not a psychology major, but I feel everything's just so transparent. I'm hot, I'm cool, I'm a slut. It's like, what are we doing?
She was wrong about the hot part, wrong about the good at my job part, but right maybe about the slutty part.
But people dislike you because you're abrasive and rude.
Yeah.
Like, how is this not insanely evident?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're right that it definitely gives like big, uncool in high school.
And by the way,
energy where you want to turn into the people who bullied you later on.
This story is nowhere near dignified enough to be Gamergate's 69.
Yeah.
The original Gamergate was a genuinely complicated issue of multiple people being bamboozled by this psychopath, but then the entire internet bullying this human being because they thought they had like the moral right to do so, which was messed up in its own way, and that it got weaponized and politicized. It's a truly fascinating story and a fascinating moment in history that has led to where we currently are. This is just a stupid bitch. Like,
the smugness is just
yeah, again, and the smug.
Like, does she think that she's winning any favor when she acts like that?
I guess, like, also
or is the point just to kick people?
It's fair to point out that, like, look, it's smugness and annoying looking to me, but if you're somebody that agrees with her, that's not going to bother you.
But also,
all of the guys around her who are like, it's just hating women. Honestly, it's 100%.
Which is a huge straw man argument and not exactly, and not even close to the fact.
But Brett, do you understand what I'm saying? That the original Gamergate was literally a super complex thing where there's clearly no good guys on any side. And this is just people being like, jiggle physics. It's like, I'm offended by the fact that you designed tits to jiggle. It's like, they what?
The bigger issue with the story, I think, is the lack of intellectual honesty when interviewing the guy from the game.
Yeah.
Who she goes into it knowing that it's a culture war issue. He goes into it not knowing that. And she doesn't try in any way to write the article fairly, or at the very least point out to him before they even do the interview that this is a very loaded issue and topic, and there's no preface beforehand. And I don't know if I feel bad for the dude.
She's throwing him under the bus.
She's throwing him under the bus
Clearly.
for the sake of the culture war, and then to be as callous as she was to him when he's trying to, like, he tries to be genuine, and she calls his genuineness naive. And that speaks to the issue at hand right now, right? Is that nobody's willing to act in good faith because both sides see their need for victory as paramount. Though I'd feel pretty safe in saying that most people don't even know what victory would look like. They just know that they want the other side to suffer.
By the way, and also in fairness, so again, there's two sides. There's like the progressive side that they just constantly pander to their base, like incessantly, but the other side is that way as well, where they're almost like performatively misogynist just to enrage the other side. And some of it is performative, and others it's very in poor taste. And you know, it's like cool and it's not cool and it's annoying. It's kind of like this chick from TikTok, the recent psyop. Then now she's like giga famous for saying the N-word. It's like, what? Like, you've contributed nothing. Like, you're like, why are you a cultural darling now? You know what I mean? Like, she already had tickets for TPUSA, and I'm supposed to believe like she's not a freaking psyop.
Yeah.
Like, what is going on? Like, we need to stop running towards the other side, and at some point trying to reason with people and share a
That
thing.
will never happen on the internet.
Fine, but let it not happen on the internet.
Like, going back to the way that this all happened initially, what are your takes on the boob jiggle physics debate in video games?
You will never shame me from liking tits.
Yep.
You will never shame me from liking tits. Fuck you. That's my statement on that.
Yep.
And second is,
it is also weird.
It was
how,
lowest start.
It is also weird how like the woman who's mad at the and bitching at this guy about something which reeks of puritanism, that jiggle physics is a problem, but then brags about being
a
slutty.
whore and like
those are incongruous to me.
Right, like I feel like in my worldview, since I actually
Wouldn't
am
the
a
slutty
puritanical conservative prude, I can say that I'm against that because I don't sit here and brag about how big of a slut I am. Like, I think there is a happy medium between making all female characters in video games look like Abby from The Last of Us and making them look like porn stars. Is that such a crazy take? I feel like there is a way to do it right where women can be attractive in video games and not be like sexually objectified.
I agree.
There is a middle point there.
Dude, and I want that middle point so bad, and that's my argument, is that everyone's just
We've
running.
way overcorrected, it seems.
We're not correcting at all. Like, everyone's just like, this is my side, and here you go, the most performative version of my side. And then their side's like, oh, clap.
They were literally
nauseating.
It was literally the moment where everybody clapped.
Yeah.
They actually did clap.
No, but again, like the counterculture is like this as well. And right now, I believe like a term is becoming like the progressive or the woke, right? They're equal, and I talked about it on the shows, like, you know, the right wing will become progressive and insufferable as well, and they're there. And so
there's purity spiraling on all sides.
Sure. So like, it's like for like the calendar thing, it's like, why are you on the calendar? It's like, what do you want then? Like, what do you want? Like, you were complaining that trans women were on there, and now you're complaining that women are there. Like, don't want calendars?
It's also just, it's objectively delusional, going back to her statement, to say that video game characters are diverse now naturally and not because there is a standard set of corporate quotas in place
Correct.
now
Sweet
since
Baby
the late
Inc.
2010s.
Sweet Baby Inc. wouldn't need to exist if it was natural.
And all of these consultancy firms like Black Girl Gamers, you could list them off, I'm sure. Like, there is a reason that happened. It's not something that just naturally evolved over time. So that's just a delusional take on its face.
She's not addressing any issue. She's literally like, she's signaling every base. She was signaling like sex workers, women, people of color, like,
and that's
nerds,
pretty much all the
everything.
people that exist in the world: sex workers, women, and people of
expecting all of the beta cucks around her on that woke couch,
Which they did. They reciprocated, like, yes, queen.
echo what she's saying and literally applaud for her and yes, simp for her.
But it's just, again, like, it's crazy. Like, I don't know.
The sad and boring part to me is both sides are now one of these places where if you don't fall in line, you just, you know.
Do you think she knew that she was becoming Frosk 2.0 in that moment?
Yes.
Like, did she know that she was
Yeah.
creating a G4 TV?
She's a better
show
performer
moment?
than everybody else that was there. She is. She's
give it to her.
instantly- She's
She's emotive.
If her job, if her point there was to anger people, she did it well.
Yeah.
She did her
Yeah.
job well. And
10 out of 10.
I guess I can appreciate that on some level.
Sure.
As annoying as it is.
Okay.
And also, like, I mean, she said some things that are clever. So it's, again, at what point am I supposed to suspend the disbelief that she doesn't understand that her being rude and smug is the reason why she is receiving like a negative response?
That's the funny thing is that's the number one thing in the movie. I put up with and don't care about a lot of progressive messaging and storytelling. It's snarky characters more than anything that bothers me. Like there's a lot of movies that I've liked that we've reviewed where people didn't like them. And I'm like, look, I can put up with a lot, but the second the character is snarky, it loses me. That's
Phoebe
what lost
Waller-Bridge
me. Phoebe
and
Waller-Bridge.
Dial of
So
Destiny.
I tried to watch several shows last year. Like I tried to watch this show called Tracker, And it lost me in the first episode because there's this lawyer who's just being an insufferable twat for no reason. It's literally her first scene on camera. Who introduces a character that's that insufferable for no reason? Right? Who thinks that's
Women
enjoyable?
who have male power fantasies.
Yes.
Is who we're
And it's
talking
like,
about.
literally, where are the bleeding heart progressives? They don't exist. They don't exist. We used to be like, no.
Well, there's always a veneer anyway. They're all acid spewing monsters.
No. But I feel like you would used to meet people that were progressive Democrats, and you'd be like, oh, you just really want health care, and you just really want people to be treated nicely. I don't know where that person is. I feel like the only progressive that exists right now is like performatively angry.
So when
constantly.
activism gave way to slacktivism, it's a lot easier to be snarky when you don't actually do anything.
I mean, I think that like, you know, I'm just a perfect little sweetie who wants everyone to be treated nicely. That, I think, was a facade the whole time. And once they felt that they were in power, which they are now, that's when the real acid came out.
No, but naive people exist.
Who they really are.
Naive people exist, and naive.
She is not one of them.
No, I'm not. That's my original argument.
Yeah.
Is like she is completely cognizant of what's going on and how it will be perceived, and she did it masterfully. Here we are on the most popular podcast from 3 to 5 that talks about pop culture on YouTube.
It's also funny because it's like if you're somebody who was outside the culture war, or at least somebody who tried to remain more neutral than the average person, why would you like? My instinct is to like ask questions and give someone the benefit of the doubt. But why would you do that when her own interview with the game creator proved that she doesn't want to give anyone the benefit of the doubt, and she sees people who try to see both sides as naive anyways? So why would you give anyone the benefit of the doubt when they see good faith gestures as naive?
But nothing lasts forever. Again, like I feel. This I do feel like it's far away, like similar to my prediction that progressivism is gonna be lame and like people are gonna hate it. That's coming to fruition, but like now that we're all like divided on our sides, I think peak cringe, as hard as it may seem, is far away. I think like 10 years or something, but ultimately we will reach like the peak cringe moment, and it'll like be like, okay, enough.
All right.
On both sides, it'll be like
right.
both sides are lame, and then we will congregate in the middle.
Yes.
All right, let's read some
sucks.
super chats before we get into the next one. Shane H. Wilder said, "Happy Woman Wednesday, Brett, Marion, Dane, every woman font." Brett, welcome back from your BBL and quit throwing shirts away after wearing them once. Called out.
I do not.
He used to.
I do not do that anymore. I used to do that. Well, okay, that's not true. I bought like cheap shirts specifically for skating because they would get gross and destroyed, but they were thinner. And so I'd buy them in a pack of 6, like, you know, under something that you would normally wear under like a work shirt.
The way
or
you're
something
trying
like
to make this sound normal.
I'm not
right.
I'm
now.
not. But now I've got a special like. No, we're good. I washed them now.
Okay.
I washed them.
Good.
Now.
You've grown and you've learned and you're doing better.
I'm learning. I'm growing, and I'm
Yes.
working to do better.
Andrew Jacobs said, "Welcome back, Brett. Do any of y'all know what Nick Fuentes' beef with Alex Clark is? He talked ish about her in one of his speeches outside TPUSA."
I don't know.
I'm not gonna lie. I couldn't care less about.
Same.
I have not seen this speech.
The beauty of this job is I don't have to care what's going on in the world of.
It's
like,
probably because
it's
she
not
works
even-
for Turning Point
yeah,
USA.
It's not even politics.
If I had to guess.
It's not even like not caring what's going on in politics. It's like not caring what's going on in like the world of like online right wing politics, which is just not something that it's just not my world.
Yeah.
Dude, but TPUSA, it's funny because I feel like it's boomers trying to be Gen Z.
Yeah, a lot of the times they're giving off that vibe that's like, "Hello, fellow kids."
Yeah.
Yeah. Shane H. Wilder said, "Why wouldn't Phil be back? He was on yesterday." Read this exaggeratedly, Mary. Oops, sorry, I didn't do it right. What did you do to our dear sweet Phil Labonte, Brett? You monster.
I did nothing. I did nothing wrong.
Consider it an inside joke.
Yeah.
Red Snow said, "Huzzah, Mary re-alived and detransitioned him. The power of faith and prayer are real. Praise be to Space King."
That's true. I'm back. All right, let's.
He's not, in fact, a gender-bent version of Ice Spice.
Oh, boy.
Thankfully.
That was rude of you guys. Let's move on, shall we?
Yes, so Assassin's Creed Shadows has yet to come out, but the controversy around the Black Samurai Yasuke in the game continues, and the producer from Ubisoft made his statement about the backlash recently in an interview with Game Files. Here's what he said. This was also specifically in response to Elon Musk, because while this was all going on, Elon tweeted, "DEI kills art," in response to this. And here was his live reaction. Cody did not take the claim well. He said that tweet generated emotions, that the first thing I wanted to do was go back on X, which I deleted, and just tweet back. And I took a step back. I have a mindfulness app on my phone. And I did a bit of mindfulness to try to explore the emotions that that tweet created for me. Elon, it's sad. He's just feeding hatred. I had a lot of 3-word replies that came to mind. And he said that Elon Musk will not convince people that Ubisoft's point of view, about Ubisoft's point of view as a team. He emphasized that Yasuke is very, very grounded in the history of the franchise and how we make our choices. But not grounded in actual history, just the history of the Assassin's Creed franchise specifically. But he said, what Elon says is not the game that we're building. People have to play the game for themselves. And if within the first 11 minutes and 47 seconds, they are not convinced of what we're doing, we can have that discussion. I was reviewing the game very recently, and I was like, the answer is there. I just hope and wish that people can keep an open mind about this and see the game for what it is. It's an Assassin's Creed game, and I believe the best one that we've ever built.
Right.
I mean, it's his job to say that part.
Of course.
Right,
yeah.
but I just Googled it, and it says, like, Yasuke, 1550s, was a black samurai who served in the Daimyo. I'm never going to pronounce it. Oda Nobunaga in Japan. So, like, there was
This is the official narrative, but we've gone through the lore on the show previously, and he was not, in fact, a samurai.
He was a sword bearer for...
Yes.
What's his name?
It was some actual samurai employed him, basically, and also took a strange fascination with him for his dark skin complexion. But he was not a samurai. That is not historical fact by any means. It's just the official narrative that they're going with is that this was a black samurai. And you know what? Even if that were the true story of this person, it doesn't exactly explain why you chose to make him the protagonist of this game, which fans have been asking for years upon years. If you're choosing to make the game about Japanese samurai in a historically accurate way, your choice to make the protagonist black is glaringly Western. Okay, like it's glaringly posture toward DEI quotas, and that's apparent to everyone to see. But that was his response to the backlash. Of course, it's what he had to say.
These stories, like ideas like this 15, 20 years ago, 10, 15 years ago, would have met with a lot less backlash because people wouldn't be looking at it in the kind of jaded lens that we have today. And the idea that something's like, oh, maybe it's not accurate, but it's a great story, right? It's a great story and idea. But knowing the inner workings of these companies now, knowing the policies that are put in place to make something that was once a unique idea that could be used to subvert expectations, knowing that there's corporate reasoning behind it, destroys the idea that it was done in good faith.
Right, and you mentioned that one of these promotional videos they put out for the game has a hip-hop beat in it, and it's like, I'm having a hard time believing that you would put that in the video to promote this game if the protagonist were actually Japanese. I'm sorry, I don't buy it. I don't buy it. And honestly, it feels racist, low-key. But, they're gonna just double down. That's what they're gonna do. I expected this. And also, just hours ago, The Guardian put out an article from Keza McDonald, who I believe actually was head editor for Kotaku during the original Gamergate. So this is one of the, original characters in this saga. It's titled, "The Disturbing Online Misogyny of Gamergate Has Returned, if it ever went away." While some of their language has changed, the sentiment of this latest aggressive movement is just as distressing. It's time for the game industry to stand up to it. And they rehashed all of the lore around Gamergate, but they said the language has changed a bit in the past decade. They used to be upset about SJWs, and now they've taken issue with a different acronym, DEI, or just good old woke. But the sentiment from this group is the same. Games are for us only, and if you want games to change or to tell stories outside of the straightforward, male-oriented power fantasies that we grew up with, then, well, that's not allowed. We won't stand for it. In fact, we will try to aggressively harass you out of this space entirely.
Again, that's never been the point. Once again, that's never been the point. I feel like they're cognizant enough to understand that that's never been the point. The point has always been that it's forced and it seems disingenuous.
Mm-hmm. But your point falls on deaf ears because they want to feel like they're the victims, and yeah, it's just
how is there any way where I can earnestly say this, and people can earnestly say, hey, it's not that it's a black person, it's that it's forced, contrived, and repetitive and low effort.
Mm-hmm.
Like how
but they can't
is there any
respond
way?
to that because that would steel man the argument. They don't have a justification after that.
That's the biggest.
They have to frame you as one of the 4chan trolls.
That's one of the issues that I have with most sides of this, and this is from it's a problem with internet discussion in general, which is that most of it is talking at someone and not talking to someone, and there isn't a whole lot of steel manning the argument from either side. That happens more if you're actually having a discussion in real life, not a debate, but an actual discussion. They're not subverting expectations anymore, because now in 2024, to subvert someone's expectations truly would be to tell a story exactly how it was originally supposed to be told and not just changing things for the sake of it. Mm-hmm. Right?
They said the usual grifters have taken issue with, in no particular order, the fact that female characters in recent game trailers have square jawlines and masculine bodies, that journalists gave Stellar Blade bad reviews because its female characters are too hot, that too many games feature, quote, DEI haircuts, and you don't even need to show a picture, you know exactly what it is, and that Ubisoft was somehow forced by shadowy forces of wokery to make the main character of its upcoming Assassin's Creed a black samurai, contradicting historical evidence. And then, of course, they added, for the record, there is plenty of historical basis for the depiction of black samurai Yasuke in the game, but no citation was given.
Yes.
No citation was given for that. You're just supposed to take that for granted from the journalist.
It doesn't matter. The argument can go back to a simple one. It's like, why use the outlier example when you could tell a more traditional story? Mm. Why?
Well, we know why. Yeah. Because these are Westerners, usually Americans, making these games, and it's not woke enough to simply make a historically accurate game about Japanese history. You have to insert Western racial politics into it. Mm-hmm. And they're patting themselves on the back for it. Mm-hmm. That's very clearly the reason they chose to do that. It's a creative choice you could have made, as you said, in maybe the 2000s or the early 2010s without much pushback. Yeah. But now people have caught on to what's going on. It's not something that's going on naturally. There are quotas and corporate guidelines that they're using to make these decisions.
I'm the type of consumer, maybe not with games, but with movies and stuff, where I'm the person you want, right? I want to give them the benefit of the doubt. And the reason why it worked back in the day is because casting was still going to the best actors, right? So when you cast someone in a non-traditional role, and it's an act, like when they race swapped Denzel Washington in Man on Fire, no one's going to question that because it's Denzel Washington. Right. He's got 30 years of acting experience to tell you why they did that. Okay? And I'm the person that you're looking for there. I'm happy to consume as long as the product is good. But now there are too many examples of these things going bad that nobody buys that it was in good faith. And that's even beyond the idea of knowing about what their policies are like behind the scenes. Even if you don't know the policies of what's going on behind the scenes, they're saying, why is this happening? And the product is bad.
Hey, I think you really hit on something. It was kind of similar with Idris Elba being James Bond, where I thought that would have been awesome because he had the vibe. And so, and again, vibe is this like intrinsic.
I mean, he's gravitas. And,
he's cool. He's actiony, and you could see a guy like that being a badass.
But now, because people know that there's agendas behind this, no one's going to buy that Barbara Broccoli is going to do this because it was necessarily the right candidate. Maybe for him, yes. But if you do any other actor, they're going to be like, there was a motive behind this. We're not buying it. Now, go ahead.
Sorry, I was just going to say there's a call to action at the end of this opinion piece from Keza McDonald that is basically calling on all of these game studios to come forward publicly and denounce the behavior of Gamergate 2.0 trolls. And here it says, if Gamergate proved anything, it's that nobody has to pander to rage-baiting toxic gamers or even listen to them. That said, I still don't think there's been enough public pushback against this flavor of online abuse from the biggest publishers in games over the past few months, when the consultancies they work with, the journalists and critics who cover them, and even some of their own game developers have been caught in the online shitstorm. Take it from me, vocal support means a lot. Do you guys think it's fair to expect these game publishers, these studios, to make public statements in support of their own critics, the people who are reviewing their games? Because I certainly don't think that's a reasonable request.
I mean, I don't know. That's kind of a complicated question. I feel like you should, when you're a game studio, all you should care about is the quality of your product and not even be, it's kind of, you shouldn't even be part of that conversation.
Yeah.
It feels like beneath you.
I love the idea of of a studio just not addressing any of it and just doing their updates as per usual.
But silence is violence.
But a lot of people, a marketing person might say you're missing out on an opportunity. Now, these would be people who aren't paying attention to the culture war, but a marketing person who doesn't get it might say like, look, there's a lot of interest here. You should address this. But I think for the most part, not addressing it is the best thing for most of these studios and stuff to do most of the time. Also, I want to point out James Bond, Idris Elba would be a far better villain than actual James Bond. He would.
If you choose a competent actor,
yes,
usually people don't care.
Yes.
But it's never about that. It's never about making the best product. It is about seeming virtuous, and they're not going to learn any lessons from this. I mean, Gamergate was proven to be basically a lost battle that didn't actually change anything.
A good question to ask would be, what would the studio have suffered if they had told a traditional Assassin's Creed story set in Japan?
I mean, then it would have been the other side being like, why isn't there black queer women representation? Like someone always gets angry.
They're still not white, at least, right? Would that be enough for them? Would they be satisfied with that?
They consider Asians white adjacent.
No, but
basically.
It would have been like the Dylan Mulvaney, like, oh, why isn't Dylan Mulvaney talking about, the castration in Uganda, like whatever the hell that chick brought up.
Proof that you can't win.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Like, you can't win.
But Mary, like, kind of like a little pushback to your point is that, by the way, I'm like 95, maybe 96% of the way there with you. But also, like, wouldn't you agree with me also that I'm not saying in this case in particular, but in some cases, like, people kind of like read in like progressivism where there isn't. It's like, it's just a black character. Like
in what situation?
I couldn't give you one because at 99.9% of it, it's like a forced contrived. But like
in race swaps, you mean?
Yeah, not even like race swaps. It's like a character.
Or are you talking more like with Furiosa coming out and everyone calling it a girl boss movie and
something like
no,
that.
It wasn't a girl boss movie. It was just a movie with a lead woman.
When it comes to gender politics, it gets more complicated because it's not a minority. This is literally 50% of the population.
I mean, that doesn't matter to them.
But if it's a race swap,
that doesn't matter because
signals to me something much more intentional, much more deliberate if it's a race swap.
So no, it's not even race swap. It's literally any characteristic that can be considered like a progressive like talking point that can be considered, and then you're given this like 15-second trailer where like some of it seems like very on the nose and some of it seems like kind of halfway there. Like, would you concede to the fact that there's this like kind of like progressive right wing right now where it's like, oh my God, another X, Y, and Z?
Honestly, I am not one of those people that comments stuff like that, but I totally understand the sentiment and I kind of support it because there needs to be a pushback in the opposite direction for anything to change. And when I look at a show like The Acolyte, these are all new characters. You're not race swapping anybody, but there are no white men in the show who aren't stupid criminals, and that was intentional.
And I agree with you, and that's like a poor. But that they are marketing themselves as like we're like lesbians and we love lesbians.
I think we need more straight white males.
And that's fine. By the way, I'm not disagreeing. What I'm saying is, so that's one that's like insanely on the nose, and the whole purpose of that is to be gay Star Wars. But what I'm saying is, do you see also like a reactionary right that's like desperate to find things to hate in?
In the case of Furiosa, the reactions to Furiosa saying it did badly in the box office because it's a girl boss, yeah, I thought that was kind of made out of thin air. So there were other reasons.
Because it was a Mad Max movie with no Mad Max from a sequel from 10 years ago that didn't even do that well to begin with.
You could still argue that the reason they resurrected this franchise of Mad Max is to put a woman in the protagonist role. Okay, that's probably true.
But like,
I mean, I don't know if there's any evidence that I know that he had no problem. Look, okay, I don't know if that's unless there's actual evidence of him. I know that he was very big on the idea of his wife being the editor of Fury Road because he wanted a woman's perspective to the story, right? I don't know. I'll give you an example of why they do it marketing wise. Okay, so do you remember when they race swapped Anne Boleyn, right? The television show, and there was articles written about it and people made comments about it, and rightfully so. It's stupid. Or Cleopatra. Well, one thing that they did make recently, Taylor Sheridan made a story about Bass Reeves, who was a real black U.S. Marshal. He was the first black U.S. Marshal, and that's a fantastic story that people had been clamoring for years. Well, that got no big airplay because it's based on an actual person. But the story about a race-swapped character gets all sorts, especially a race-swapped real person, gets all sorts of play.
Outrage marketing.
Yes, exactly.
But if I can, please, if I can just finish my point, because I really want your input from both of you, because I'm hoping, I mean, naively, that this can start a conversation. Because, okay, so, because this is our side of the aisle kind of being progressive dipshits. It's like, how can we nip it in the bud so we don't become what we hate, and so that ultimately we can find a solution for a problem that's already like rampant on the other side? Maybe like this solution on our side can be then like the doses can be increased to like try to help progressives like get out of their lunacy. Like how what is it?
Think about it like this. Hollywood has a girl boss problem where they're making all of the female protagonists have this air of, they can't make any mistakes. They don't have feelings. Everyone around them is stupid. All men are incompetent. She's hyper competent. Things like that. Like those are the traits that you would see in a Mary Sue character. And then in response, you see in Daily Wire's efforts to make new movies and also license out new movies, they are choosing to make a lot of strong female protagonists, and they're like, see, this is how you do the strong female protagonist the right way. And I'm not sure that I agree with that tactic. I think that it actually goes overboard, and we just need men to be strong in movies. Like, we just need to see strong male characters.
It's what I call like the ability to buy in, right? Like, if we're gonna watch a movie about somebody doing dangerous things in the realm of action, that is just generally going to be men, because men are more drawn to dangerous, risky things. That is what's believable. And so if you're making a movie and you're using a male action hero, it is a lot easier to buy in. This is why they have to get in good shape. This is why they have to look a certain way. You visually buy into it quicker than when you do it. They're looking for reasons to not buy into a woman in that role. Now, it didn't always used to be that way. There was more of a focus on escapism and storytelling back then. But now, because of everyone's perceived idea of what agendas are in Hollywood, and of course, the actual agendas that are there in Hollywood, people want to find a reason not to buy into that character. The easiest way to sidestep that is to make a movie with a male action hero. Doesn't have to be done that way, but you're making it harder on yourself by telling these other stories.
Okay, so let me try to summarize your argument. Your arguments are that in order for you to be able to suspend disbelief and to enjoy this story,
not me,
but
perhaps,
I'll get there. But it's like it has to be based on some tangible reality, just so that the world is like believable enough to the point where the areas that are like magical and fictitious, that you can be like, I can get by that, because in spite of those magical areas, there is like a humanity to it.
Not even magical, because actually that's what makes it easier to buy. So if you watch a show where a character is a mutant, it doesn't matter if it's a woman, because the natural laws of the world don't apply. That actually gives you a pass from that. But if it's a world where there's no magic involved, where it's just a human being and they're beating up people to 2 times their size, that's a lot harder to buy in. It can be done. It can work. Certainly people bought into Black Widow in the earlier films and stuff like that. But in general, that's a lot harder than if you just tell a story with a dude, because people are hard up for those stories. Now, you don't see a lot of them.
I just want to find a way for us to communicate to progressives like, this is why we dance.
Thank you.
I just want to find a way to communicate to progressives like, this is my core philosophy as to why the art that you're producing fucking sucks.
It's impossible.
I don't think they care whether the art they're making is good or bad. I don't think they care. They only care about using it as an implement to beat people over the head with their ideological points.
There has to be...
They do not care whether they're making good art that will be remembered.
There has to be like a 15% party that's embarrassed by it at some point. Similar to how like I am embarrassed when I see like people buying into all these like psyops and shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, we can hope that the tides will change. They will feel that it's cringy.
You can't have these conversations with them anyways, because just like I say that you can't teach somebody about you can't lead someone to what's actually going on in politics. They have to find it themselves. Somebody has to make that journey on their own, and they have to be willing to listen to voices that they wouldn't normally listen to, but you can't actually have this discussion with
Someone in the chat said, oh, Dane, you sweet summer child.
I know, by the way.
It's literally just you being so sincere, and you're hoping that other people are, but
I'm not naive. I know that, by the way, I don't think most people have a soul. Like, I'm not naive. I'm saying that it's willing, I am willing to have this conversation with a redeemable 5 to 10%. That's literally all I mean, because I'm just so sick of this like nauseating circle of be like, aren't them bad? They did the thing again. Guys, they did the thing, and like it sucks. Like I want good movies.
They're not gonna get sick of themselves. Is the ultimate point.
They have to be. They have to be.
All right, we gotta move on to super chats because we're actually running out of time. Yeah, Skateman 2010 said, Brett, Women's Summit. Is that where you were?
That's exactly where I was.
You were going to the Women's Summit.
Correct.
Sad you didn't bring Dane with you. Corey Anderson said, I'm serious, Mary. You look great today, BTW. Thank you.
He was serious about being in the hospital.
About being injured, yeah. Marco said, what kind of struggle is fought with emotion? An emo jihad? What?
What?
Emoji? Emoji jihad? Get it? Yeah.
Get it.
Shane H. Wilder said, Dane sounds like he's going to make me an offer I can't refuse. Get better, bro.
What?
I don't know. Your voice?
Gonna make you an
Oh, yeah. The Godfather.
Augusto Pinochet's Killdozer said, Dane is the most handsome member of the Beanie Gang.
Thank you.
Put that
I don't know if that's true, but thank you.
You should put that on a shirt.
You were worried about looking cute on the show today.
I was worried because
it worked out.
Okay.
DeBob said, I listened to Chris Brown radio hit after hit. Oh.
Yep.
That's not good.
All the hits.
Oh, I'm so slow
The
today.
Last of My Kind said, went to the movies on Friday. The theater was packed.
Sweet.
Okay.
Good
At
to
least
know.
in one part of the country. Serenko Production said, are y'all going to review the Akashite episode 4? You get to see Osha get force yeeted by the master, who's definitely not that poison guy.
Yeah, we're gonna review it.
Yeah, we haven't seen it yet, but we will put out our review tomorrow.
Brett, your eyes sunk. You're like,
yeah.
You just went to a dark
Look,
place.
I don't call a lot of stuff like progressive or woke.
You really don't.
I don't. I'm like Aaron said, like I'm the dude who's like I'm totally willing to buy into the woman beating up the dude too. I'm like she kind of like I'm willing to buy into it. I get it. It's fake. It's not real. It takes a lot to actually like take me out of the story and ruin it. One way is snarky characters, especially snarky female characters, because when you see a snarky female character, my issue is like guys can't behave like that because if you're snarky to another dude, he has license to just beat the crap out of you. Polite society prevents that from happening to women, and I find that to be insufferable.
That's called the longhouse.
Yes, and I find that to be insufferable. The other way is when you do things like what they're doing with the Acolyte. And yes, I saw the scene with pronouns.
Yeah, I did too.
What?
Look,
we'll get into it.
I've been watching, so I watched this show called Almost Paradise, and there's like 2 jokes about pronouns in that show, and both times it's done to kind of be boomerish and be like, oh, look at these kids with their pronouns, which is oddly enough how you should treat it. Okay?
I don't know.
But the point is they don't do it as if it's something you're supposed to talk about. They laugh at it.
Yes, there are they/them pronouns in the Star Wars universe now.
Sick.
Serenko Productions said Shane needs to get Tiffany Gomez on Inverted World Live.
That would actually be really
That would be cool if she were willing to tell people what she saw. But she's never told anyone. Yeah. Pat the Plumber said he's lucky she didn't have a different hammer. What?
I don't know what he's referring to. He's talking about the video from earlier.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Let's. Are we gonna do one more topic? Or are we gonna?
I mean, if you want to, we can get into it.
We should get into it. We should talk about what's going on with the med spa ladies.
Last week, we talked about these women who are on Love Island in the UK. And people were saying these women in their early 20s definitely don't look like they're in their early 20s because they seem to have this crippling addiction to getting fillers injected in their face that are aging them and making them look terrible. They honestly started to look less human each time that we saw a new contestant. They're making themselves into aliens, basically. And now another video has gone viral in the same vein. These are women who work at a medical spa. That's what they're called now.
It's called Renew You. I sent this to Mary knowing that this would infuriate her.
Basically what this means is none of these women in the video are doctors, but they are estheticians, and their job is to, do extractions on people, give them chemical facials, and inject fillers and Botox in people's faces. And all of them, of course, are big fans of doing that to themselves. And they went around saying their age and how much filler they have in their face and how much Botox they have. So let's go through the video and just hear from them.
Nikki, how old are you and how many units of Botox do you have?
Do I really have to answer how old I
Yes.
am? 41. 32 units.
Emma, how old are you?
22.
How many units of Botox do you have?
32.
Jody, how old are you?
55.
And how many units of Botox do you have?
64.
Lauren, how old are you?
24.
And how many units of Botox do you have?
I have 104. I have 40 in my masseters and 64 in my
Literally nothing else on her face moves but her lips.
Yeah. No emotion.
Jess, how old are you?
I'm 34.
And how many units of Botox do you have?
I have 34 units.
Dr. Cruz, how old are you?
I'm 44.
And how many units of Botox do you have?
76.
Kyla, how old are you?
34.
And how many units of Botox do you have?
I have 28 in my face, and I have 25 in each of my trapezius muscles to help with migraines.
Devaney, how old are you?
23.
And how many units of Botox do you have?
60.
Yeah.
Kristen, how old are you?
I'm 41.
And how many units of Botox do you have?
I have 56.
Robin, how old are you?
55.
And how many units of Botox do you have?
50 units. Courtney, how old are you?
33.
And how many units of Botox do you have?
128.
It's literally the most Courtney-looking person I've ever seen in my entire life. She looks exactly like a Courtney.
What is it about Courtney's?
The crazy thing about
she was
this,
either going to be a Courtney or a Trish. When
And
she
Tiffany,
was born.
or Tiffany.
Trish, I definitely
She's
see.
a Trish.
Not Tammy though.
No.
Not Tammy. But the crazy thing about this video is that you can see The women who are above 40 actually do look, for the most part, younger than their age. And the women who are in their early 20s to 30s all look much older than their real age.
Dude, the 23-year-old I thought was 49.
Yeah, what they did to that 24-year-old and the 23-year-old should be a war crime. I'm so serious. Like, someone needs to be held accountable for this.
The 24-year-old is not that bad, but like the 23-year-old is
It's just so much worse.
unreal.
Like, that is medical malpractice, 100%. Like, and the thing is, it's because all of these women in the clinic who are in their 40s to 50s didn't have access to fillers and Botox when they were young. They started doing this while they were already aging, which means they were able to freeze their face at a certain point. I'm not saying it looks great, but it might look better than how they would otherwise look. The women in their 20s, though, they're cooked.
Yeah.
Like, it's over for them because they started doing this probably at 18 years old and have just irreparably messed up their skin.
Dude, imagine the follow-up video of that chick in 20 years.
It's insane.
Do you want to give people, because again, dudes probably don't understand this. I don't understand this entirely. The difference between Botox and fillers, because obviously what these people are talking about was that Botox and fillers are not the same thing. Botox basically just freezes your face, and fillers is what most people are noticing.
Yeah, everyone
Seems like
was.
you get it, Brett.
Well, I was forced to learn.
Yes, yeah, everyone was splitting hairs after this video came out. The people who are pro Botox were very mad that this was getting blamed on Botox. Botox paralyzes your muscles, and that's why it can be used for medical purposes. Fillers, however, literally just fill empty space in your face. And what you're supposed to do is wait until your face naturally slims down with age before you even think about getting fillers. But what the problem is here, girls with naturally youthful, chubby faces are filling their faces anyway to artificially give themselves gigantic cheekbones or more like strong jawlines or a stronger chin or what have you. And it ends up just aging them by 10 to 20 years. And that was in the effort to look younger and more beautiful, ironically.
Yeah.
So yeah, filler is much worse than Botox, but after all, at the end of the day, you're still injecting toxins into your face and changing how you look forever. You can't have emotions show on your face when you do Botox because your muscles literally don't work.
Yeah.
So yeah, this can't be totally blamed on Botox, but they're all doing both. Like, that's the truth. They're all overdoing it with both Botox and fillers. And it's just really sad because they work in an environment, these women work in an environment where everybody looks like this. So they look at themselves and they don't think it's weird. But they have no idea that to the rest of the world, they look absolutely insane.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's just something so... we talk a lot about judging a book by its cover here. We've talked about that more than a few times. And I think that there's going to be a lot of premature judgments made about the type of person they are even by having this much done because of the amount of vanity it takes to do this to yourself.
As a marketing specialist, you should judge a book by its cover because a lot of thought and work goes into the design of covers.
Yeah, yeah. And that goes for people as well.
Yeah. I mean, but that, you don't have 100% the truth, but something they're trying to communicate.
The 55-year-old lady looked very good for her age.
It's probably because she started Botox
when she was
and fillers.
in her 30s or 40s.
Yeah,
the other
30s
ones
or
look
40s.
better, yeah.
But I don't even think that that's necessarily something that should be promoted. Like, aging naturally is the ideal situation. And unfortunately, when someone like Pamela Anderson is aging in the public eye, she's getting trashed for it. Younger women probably see that phenomenon and get just deathly afraid of being judged like that and preemptively want to do this age preventative work on themselves, which ends up working in the exact opposite way they intended. And one of the comments I posted about this, one of the replies said, is this like a body dysmorphia issue or something? Do they look in the mirror and see something desirable? I don't understand it. It is 100% body dysmorphia or some version of that where, you know, you've changed your face so much that you're totally unrecognizable and you don't even know what you would look like if you hadn't done this. And it's kind of just something you can't they say it's reversible because you can get the filler dissolved, but that doesn't reverse what you've done to your skin, and you've kind of just effed yourself up.
Yep. I also like, it's not like these women won't be attractive to somebody. Like that's a lot of like, we talk a lot about how men consistently say that they don't like this look, that this doesn't interest them. But these women, none of these women are single. All of these women are in relationships.
Oh, for sure.
Guarantee you.
For sure.
There's somebody for everyone, especially somebody who works at a med spa. They've got boyfriends, they've got husbands. They're not hurting for partners. The bigger issue is that it's not about whether he finds you attractive. It's that they've got to look at themselves in the mirror and be happy with what they see.
Jesus.
No, I'm making the comment that it's a certain type of hell to have to, look in the mirror and constantly be judgmental about something when they're perfectly fine.
And your coworkers are probably like, "Oh, you could use a little more work on your masseter on the left because it's dark." Not like
it's a very dark place to be.
Yeah.
Like, and you can't really escape that. There's no solving that problem. The best thing that you can hope for is to, I don't know if therapy is the answer, but coming to a point of of self-acceptance isn't likely when you've medicalized this issue, and they're going to keep coming back to it, and everybody in the industry is going to keep telling them, well, that can be a quick fix. Just do this.
I just think, how can the people injecting this into 23-year-olds' faces feel good about themselves and sleep at night? But I realize what they tell themselves is, what I do for a living is I help people feel beautiful and I help people feel good about themselves. Yep. And they will just continue telling themselves that's the story, and no one can convince them otherwise. But there was a contrary point of view, and I wanted to specifically bring up a couple of tweets from Alex Clark. She felt that Botox was in need of some defense here. She posted examples, and she said, "Who has Botox in these pictures?" Multiple celebrities: Kylie Jenner, Megan Fox.
All right, Kylie Jenner looks freaking weird.
Yeah, and the truth is here, all of these women in these photos have Botox. That's the catch, right? And she's trying to point out that fillers are actually the real culprit here, or a comorbidity of sorts. And one person responded to that original video saying, "It's so funny when women claim it's possible to do this stuff well. Is the tastefully done plastic surgery in the room with us right now?" And she actually posted an example of what she believes is a tasteful implementation of plastic surgery. This is Blake Lively's before and after photos from her rhinoplasty.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think
I didn't even know that Blake Lively had a rhinoplasty, which I suppose is the point.
I think Brett's BBL came out good.
It did.
Yeah, and your leg lengthening surgery as well. Looks
good.
totally natural.
Have you ever seen the videos of the people with the leg lengthening surgeries? It's so depressing.
Dude, they got these rods.
Yeah.
It's like terrifying.
Yeah, it's insane.
It's again, like this is the male analog to that, right? Like if you cannot learn to just accept that you're not going to be as tall as other people, you're in for a rough life if you can't be comfortable with your shortcomings, as they might say. That wasn't actually intentional until I started saying it. Like the point is that you have to learn to be okay with not being perfect. And the sad thing is like for guys, that's just going to be a little bit easier because for most men, their physical appearance isn't the same. It's not taken in the same vein as women's appearance. But height for men would be that unique indicator, right? Like so many women talk about how height is it's a selling point for them. They don't want to commit to somebody who's not tall. So men can get a taste of what it's like for the women in these circles by thinking like, well, how do I measure up to other dudes?
A lot of this for these women is comparing themselves to other women. It's not men. It's not the male gaze doing this to them. It's probably social media.
Try as I might.
And other women.
And yeah, it's other women. That's the group psychology factor here. It's not men who are pressuring them to get lip fillers and Botox and all of this stuff. It is other women who have a preference for this look, and it's a status symbol, and it's a symbol of competitiveness, even though that goes unspoken. But if you think about it, men don't have super high standards. They don't have super specific standards or preferences. You really just got to be like moderately, hygienic, take care of yourself, don't be overweight, and like wear a skirt.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much all you gotta do to appeal to the vast majority of men. And the fact that that's true shows that these women are doing it for other women.
If you, as long as you're not like an insufferable person, like the people we've talked about prior today, like as long as you aren't snarky, most guys are going to be pretty okay.
Right, and you have to like pretend that you like his jokes and stuff like that. So
No, but isn't the meme
actually liking the jokes would be a positive.
That is definitely the ideal situation.
but isn't the meme like every guy wants his lovable mid or something?
Even that's not necessarily a fair interpretation. But yes, that's the saying, right? Like every guy just wants his lovable mid, but then you're calling your significant other mid, which is
mean.
really mean.
Yeah.
You should not be doing that.
Yeah, that meme is kind of cynical. I don't really like it.
Yep.
If it's coming from somebody who's in a relationship, that's kind of gross. But you know, it's generally true. Like men don't have high standards, and that's why ultimately, like you should not. This maybe sounds kind of feminist, but like you should not derive your self-esteem from whether a man would have sex with you.
Ew, feminist.
Because like there's this fake quote that goes around from like one of these Victoria's Secret angels where she's like, you know, I do find it flattering that men find me attractive, but then I remember that they would also have sex with a McChicken, so I don't let it get to my head. That's a good, I don't know if she actually said that, but that's a pretty good way to think about it, right?
I think that was Socrates, actually.
Yeah.
Wasn't it you that showed me that this Reddit where it's like accurately rating people and they're so OCD, it's like 5.7.
I mean, that's a uniquely culture war issue where the idea is to take the piss out of some celebrity.
Coflation.
If you say a chick is like a 6.9, they're like banned, like impossible.
Yeah. But you know, the reality is most people, I believe, rate themselves as more attractive than they are until social media just comes in to destroy that for you.
You think that's unique to women or men, or do you think that it's just women that rate themselves higher than...
I think that the study I'm referring to found that, you know, the average person believes themselves to be above average.
Everyone says they're a 7. Everyone's like, I'm like a 7.
That's probably a healthy way to think about yourself, though. So you should just leave it alone and not let med spas and social media destroy your self-perception.
If you rate yourself too low, then people think you're fishing for compliments. If you rate yourself too high, you're vain. So healthy 6.5 to 7, perfect. Just give yourself that.
But is it like rating the whole package or just physically?
I do feel like this is unique to women, though. I bet you men consistently rate themselves lower. I have no evidence.
I would have to look into it.
But I bet you, like, we talk a lot about like how men in general are starved for compliments in general from other people, and women are not. They're the opposite. You know, the most average-looking woman has an inbox full of men telling them that they're the most beautiful thing that's ever existed. So I bet you women rate themselves generally higher and men rate themselves generally lower.
Maybe. I mean, I did hear Jordan Peterson talk about this once, that it's
no fat chicks.
Like, it's proven that men overestimate women's sexual interest in them in like interpersonal interactions, and then when you let alcohol into the mix,
I always thought
you
that was
like
just...
way overestimate women's interest in you sexually.
I always assumed that it's like the dude's like, oh, she totally wanted me. I always just assumed that was just male bravado, and they didn't actually.
I think they might be telling the truth. Yeah. From their point of view.
There's a lot of truth to that, Brett.
Okay.
Well, let's go to the super chats.
The bravado part or the actually believing it part? It's
what you said.
It's my favorite is like it's like
cope.
A roundup it's like two guys go out to a bar. It's like the roundup. It's like 57 damn she's hots, like 37 holy crap I'd hit it, 0 women talked to, 0 lines given.
But when you rate yourself,
that's disheartening.
When you rate yourself, is it like purely physical or is it the whole package?
Purely physical, because you can't tangentially.
Well, that's the point of a rating system, is that it's superficial.
Okay, cool.
Not about your personality.
But some people's personalities suck too.
So let's leave the bread is mid discourse out of this, guys.
Hey, after the BBL, you cannot say anything about bread.
I'm gonna get some. I'm gonna get the buckle fat next. That's what I'm gonna get.
You're gonna be in the next video. It's like, how many fillers? 57.
Yeah, exactly. I got this.
Okay, let's finish up these super chats. Pat the Plumber said, Bert, I came across a banner on Temu that made me think of you. It was Barney the dinosaur, and it said, commit tax fraud. Let's go.
Sick.
See, that just seems like predictive programming. That's a fed op right there. They're trying to get you to do it, you know, and then when you do it, they've pushed you to it through, you know, subliminal marketing.
Pop Culture Junkie said, regarding the creator, this film caused a bit of a kerfuffle at Disney. Iger led a hot discussion in the vein of, why can't we do this for our films?
Yes, you should have hired Gareth Edwards back and said, sir, how did you manage to make this movie look good with $80 million when in like a camera that's held together by bubble gum and sticks? How did you do that? Well, everybody else is being given $250 gazillion budgets.
Or Godzilla -1 on what, 10 million you said?
Yeah, $10 million budget.
Chris Crow said possums have 2 man parts.
Okay, well, I don't know how the possums were having sex then.
Okay. Corey Anderson said, I like Taylor Swift even more now. # naughty snotty.
Okay.
Okay, hate that. Not that Jon Stewart said, damn it, Corey. Shane H. Wilder said, smart, hot, and slutty. Well, at least she was right about one of those things.
Well, I still want to know, why is it I have no problem with women choosing to be slutty.
I do.
It doesn't interest me if you're slutty, but my point is, why is it a virtue to be slutty, but jiggle physics are bad? Huh?
Those two things don't really work.
What was the game? Farm folks? What? Female, like
hey, where's the representation for slutty farmers?
Slutty female farmers can't exist.
Where are the slutty farmers?
There's no slutty women farmers.
Big milkers.
This year we had a psyop about a hot farmer chick.
There you go.
Oh, really?
Don't you remember the
Hannah Barrett?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even remember that. Yeah.
All of a sudden, they want to put slutty farm women in games, and it's a bad thing. But
by the way, my favorite psyop of the year is her. Like, she's
Hannah
super hot.
The Manic Mustache said, I have always been pro-boob, anti-calendar. Okay, nuance.
Sick.
Shane H. Wilder said, okay, video game timeline cleanse. Little Cat Big City is actually fun. I tried because of Charles' recommendation, and I highly recommend.
Ew, Charles. Do you guys see Squirrel with a Gun?
No.
It's a game where you play
You're just a
squirrel
squirrel
and you
with
have
a
a gun.
Is it just GTA, but you're in the forest?
No, I don't know. It's like a squirrel.
You're jumping from
like
tree to
running all
tree.
You have a gun.
Nice.
Nice.
Shane H. Wilder said, good. Brett learned about laundry detergent.
No. Different type of laundry detergent. I used a different type of Tide for colors, and then found a different one specifically for whites that seems to be better at. See, when you go skating and if you fall and stuff, you get dirt on them. It's not the same thing as just wearing a shirt and then washing it. Sorry, guys.
But you said you usually skate alone, right?
Not as much now. Out here, I've been back the last couple of years I was in Minnesota. I would skate with friends on weekends, but most people weren't skating during the week.
So I was thinking, if you're skating alone, you just wear the same dirty shirt. No one's gonna see it. It doesn't matter.
But then your body is gross and disgusting.
Well, you wash it, obviously, but it's stained, and it's why does it matter? I don't know. Gordon Shumway said, Brett, how can you stop throwing away your t-shirts when there is a genocide in Gaza? P.S. Aiden's confusion over Gaza yesterday made my day.
What was his confusion?
It was just the inside joke that he was like, what? He didn't understand.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to sit here and explain it.
Look, I don't believe in giving trillions of our tax dollars away in humanitarian aid, so they're not getting my used shirts.
Yeah. Terrence Rice said to Ubisoft, make an Assassin's Creed game set in Africa and make the assassin non-African, white, Japanese, or whatever. Bet you won't.
They won't?
Yeah, I don't think so. It'll be barbecue, but he's white.
There you go.
In Haiti, yeah. Amenthi said, wanting publishers and studios to stand against their customers is a bad idea and will only reinforce the notion that games have been conquered by activist weirdos. It will only feed animosity.
Yep.
Yeah, obviously.
Correct.
Potatoes for Seamus said, Waffle House rules, French toast is mid.
You are incorrect, sir. French toast is... No, I haven't gotten French toast in ages. I eat mostly omelets.
Did you end up going to that Waffle House, by the way?
No, because you replied hella late.
I'm sorry. But you will eventually, right?
Yeah.
I've been getting omelets more rather than...
At Waffle House?
No, just in general.
Oh.
I've been eating more omelets and less French toast.
Aren't you healthy?
Is it healthier? Tastes really good.
Yeah.
Bread omelet watch.
Waffle House rules, French toast is not mid.
Correct.
Potatoes for Seamus said, Brett, so glad you're back. Bad, what? Did the transition surgery go also? Oh, maybe how bad did the transition surgery go? Also, Mary needs to beat Kellen with a broom for the PCC intro.
How many different theories were given out as to what I was doing while I was gone?
One was that you were interviewing Zelensky.
That would be...
And you were making it like a twofer, so you're there for your BBL surgery.
And
it's
I was
cheaper in a war zone, obviously.
And I was interviewing Zelensky.
Yes.
It's like, so why do you wear that particular shade of olive drab green?
You only ask him about his acting roles.
Yes, that'd be great.
Listen, the war crimes you commit in your own country is perfectly like...
None of my business. I'm an American.
Well, you're also Slavic, so it's
Yes.
kind of like a trip to the homeland.
Yep.
Potatoes for Seamus said PCC chat wants a merry Aussie voice. Sounds like it's just you, actually. Boosted Yogi said, happy Juneteenth. Don't forget to thank a slave for the cobalt in your phone.
Okay.
Back with the dark jokes. Okay. Shane H. Wilder said, I'm with Mary. Anyone who does this to a woman's face, straight to jail. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200.
They collect way more than $200.
Unfortunately,
That's
yes.
the thing. Guys, we're like halfway to a third crisis party. I just thought I would throw that out there.
Tastefully.
Yeah, that's okay.
Look at him. Guys, BBLs are expensive.
Do with that what you will.
Do with that info what you will.
No, but if I can interject,
Oh, it's good to have you back.
I used to be the king of crisis parties, and now I hear like people are getting 3 every week, and I'm scraping to a 3. What's going on?
Not even there, bro.
Okay.
Do you guys even love me?
It's because you weren't hateful and divisive enough on this episode.
I can be.
Yeah, turn it up a notch.
I'll make a note of that.
Dr. Larsena said, my brother once wrote a book review essay about a book he hadn't read about the book's cover. I thought it was hilarious until he got an A. Then I was annoyed because I'd suffered through it.
No,
I had
smarter, not harder.
I swear this. I had a comment by the person that was reviewing my thesis in my master's degree, and this stupid bitch said, I didn't read it, but I have some thoughts. And I literally like left my body and like started staring at her. She's like, why are you looking at me like that? I was like, rage.
And that's how you became who you are today.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Every woman.
Coach sipping Jamba Juice out of a straw said, Brett, stand up, turn around, and let's see that BBL.
Yeah, Brett.
It's
Do
not
a
ready
twirl.
yet. I will say though, however,
not ready.
when I was
Still cooking.
It's still cooking. When I was home, I saw a Jamba Juice in Auntie Anne's like pretzels as like a store, not
Like
in
together.
a mall. Not in a mall.
Wow.
That's weird.
And I was like, how does this survive?
What do you mean?
Where the hell goes that?
I don't understand how Auntie Anne's exists like to begin with, because it's literally just bread.
Yes.
Like,
But-
who cares?
No, but it's so good though.
It's not. I've tried it. It's not worth the hype.
I will fight you.
Okay.
Like physical combat.
You will
like that
win.
lady.
You will win.
Yeah. I will get arrested. This is a confession. No, but like for real, they sell like these pretzels with the cheese sauce. It's unreal. Unreal.
You can get that anywhere. Like, what's so special about it? It looks like bread to me.
Okay.
Looks like bread and nacho cheese sauce.
I think I'm gonna make a shirt out of that. It looks like bread to me.
It looks like bread to me.
Yep.
Shane H. Wilder said, it's for other women and male gaze. The male gaze.
The male gaze.
Not the male gaze, but the male gaze.
Maybe there's I always point out, like, I see a difference between when we talk about that type of plastic surgery and the look that comes from it now as like being the difference between lust and actually looking to someone that you're looking to build a life with. And I think that it's courting lust and not strong relationships.
You mean the way that they're presenting themselves?
Yeah.
But men don't even like it. That's the thing.
I think there's a vast... When people tell me that they don't like what Megan Fox looks like, if you're telling me that you wouldn't have sex with her, I'm going to tell you you're lying. I think you're a lying piece of shit. Okay? You would. Right. Most of the time you would. I'm not saying that you see this person as somebody you would want to, marry and settle down with. But if men who, like somebody said earlier, will have... What did the lady say? They'd have sex with a
McChicken, yeah.
You're telling in that they wouldn't find that person physically attractive. I don't buy that. Okay?
Yeah, sure. It's just like...
Oh, she looks worse.
Lust and somebody that you want to build a life with are
currency.
not the same thing.
Look, this is why you shouldn't take anything personally, whether it's an insult or a compliment. I think of it this way because I'm a woman on the internet. Men's compliments, they mean nothing. Men's insults, they also mean nothing.
Yep.
Like, neither of those things should have any bearing on what you think about yourself.
I mean, for the most part, that's true for both. Joe, like, anybody who has a presence online should do well to not put much stock into the nice and the negative, because both of it is fleeting and shouldn't affect your opinions of yourself.
So is what I say objective truth because I'm every woman? I'm every woman on the internet, so it's like,
I don't. Okay, for the record, I don't think women's opinions are inherently more meaningful than men. I'm just saying, like, men's sexual attraction or lack thereof is not a very high value currency. Yeah. Okay. Potatoes for Seamus said, "I'm a solid 1 potato. 1 potato out of 10.
You gotta hold yourself in higher regard, my friend."
1 out of 1. Shane H. Wilder said, "I'm with Brett. Men generally rate themselves lower."
Yeah.
Well, I think that women rate men on a binary scale. You're either a 0 or a 1. It's either a yes or a no.
Yeah, that's like
basically.
That's what Risker says.
Yeah, and I fully subscribe to that. Coach sipping Jamba Juice out of a straw said, "Mary, what do you rate yourself?" I think they asked me to do this on the Whatever podcast, and I obliged. I think I said 7, so I'm just gonna go with that.
Everyone thinks they're a 7.
It's a pretty safe choice. The Rumbling said, "I rate myself a 5, and when I was skinny, a 6. Welcome back, Brett. I will send some PCC pets this week."
Ah, that is excellent. We can always use more PCC pets. Also, it's probably a good idea. Like, the real win for that answer is when someone says, "So what do you normally rate yourself?" You say, "I've never done that." That's the win. Because the person who's rated themselves, obviously it's different if somebody's asking you to do it on a podcast. If you just went to yourself one day, looked in the mirror and like, "I'm a solid 7.5. Like, that's weird.
I have a scale for myself and I have a scale for everybody else. And my scale is personal.
Yeah.
You know? Red Snow said, "Brett, I found a detergent for whites." Bleach?
Yes, bleach.
So you never you never heard of bleach?
I just never used it.
You just never used bleach in your life?
I mean, no.
I find that hard to believe.
I don't wear, I like white shirts are different though, and everything else I own is pretty much black or dark colors.
I don't understand separating colors in the wash.
It just doesn't work as well.
Dane is a Brazilian 7. What does that mean?
Different than a Colombian 7 for
I
sure.
don't know.
Brazilian 7?
We got a 20 from Potatoes for Seamus. He said, "Brett, we want that shirt. Looks like me bread to me. Let's go."
What was the saying again? It says, "Looks like bread to me."
Looks like bread to me.
You're gonna have to get Jessica on that.
Yeah. Like a smiling loaf of bread or something.
Yes.
Yeah. Shane H. Wilder said, I thought they stopped separating white and colored laundry detergent when they ended segregation. Happy Juneteenth, everybody. LMAO.
I understand that that's what it is for most people, but I never found that the white shirts came out quite as well when they were washed in with other colors. So you washed them separately.
Okay. You're the laundry expert.
I am right, and everybody else is wrong here.
Newly appointed.
Remember when the Daily Wire did the thing where they didn't know how to do laundry?
Yes.
Our wives do our laundry.
Yeah.
It's like none of you guys went to college or ever washed any clothes. You came out of the womb married.
That sounded like it was a joke, right? Because all of them had lived alone before. How do you live alone for multiple years and never learn how to do your own laundry?
You used to be me. You throw it away and then you buy a new one.
They all just threw away their clothes.
Did you really do that?
That settles it.
You would buy the packs
of the 8-pack of white shirts,
like the Fruit of the Loom ones with the cornucopia.
And you're like, you've done your purpose, shirt.
Yes, and then into the molten fire.
I'm done playing with
I
you.
don't know if I'm like super
dropped
cheap.
it like this.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have like the same shirts of like when 2012.
That's pretty much all men.
But those shirts were so cheaply made.
What do you guys think about the pillowcase discourse?
Go on.
Like men, basically all single men supposedly have this pillow they've had for their entire lives. They've never put a pillowcase on it, period, nor have they washed it, and it's like brown and yellow and disgusting.
I can answer that if you want.
Has that been you at any point in your life?
Absolutely.
Ew.
Then a woman comes in, dude. When you first fall in love with a chick and where it's serious,
you hide the pillow.
The first thing that happens is she comes to your room and immediately starts throwing shit away. Am I right? But when women clean the house, it is 100% never throwing away their shit. Never.
I do watch
Zero.
now.
Never
like,
happened. Look at Mary right now. Mary is like.
No, I just donated like a huge amount of my clothes because I was clearing out my closet. So I am now being the pick-me who is not like the other girls.
Wow. The I have pillowcases now. In the past,
You didn't use pillowcases.
No, I did. I'm saying that like I definitely had some pillows that were not the cleanest, not anything like that
They were
gross
like-
ass.
But they were yellow. They were yellow.
But I had pillowcases that I wash
Look.
on a semi-regular basis.
Look, okay.
Not anymore.
The amount that
The picture
people
is hilarious.
sweat at night when they're sleeping is actually disgusting, and I'm going to bring it up right now.
This is an intervention. Listen, I'm married now.
Okay, it's unlikely that a person sweats a liter of water every night, but there are extreme cases where that is the occurrence. I'm looking for the actual specific amount that you sweat.
So like
while
what?
you're sleeping.
Do you launder your bed sheets and pillowcases every week?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, back when I had like really bad acne, I told you that I wouldn't sleep on the same pillowcase more than a night.
Yeah. Everyone's over here judging me with my t-shirts that I'm throwing away. And Mary's over here just pillowcase.
I have my woman do it.
But look, I'm not throwing away the pillowcases.
Yeah, you're washing
I was
them.
washing them.
Yeah.
Which a normal person would do.
Yeah.
Okay. I think we're all caught up on the super
Is that all
chats.
of them? Okay.
Right?
All right.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
we
looks
are.
like we got all. Look, I thought we were going to get a third crisis party with that non sequitur.
I guess no one loves Brett and his new BBL.
I'm just going to quit, guys. Why did I even come
I
back here?
genuinely feel in love.
Brett literally went into debt for this BBL, and no one appreciates
It's
it.
a sweet booty.
Yeah.
It's sweet.
So I walked backwards to get to my car tonight, just so everybody else look at it. All right, guys, before we go, would you hit the like button on this video and subscribe to this channel if you have not done so already? Please and thank you. Dane, let everybody know where they can find you.
In the streets. Or twitter.com. And now I shall spell it out for you. I tried something new. It didn't work. I'll go back to the original. DANEFONT.
Perfect.
Great stuff. You can send me validation on Instagram at Mary Archived, or you can send me hate on X. That is also Mary Archived.
Cord in the chat says, butt rich, cash poor.
You were building up your credit score for years to pay for that.
I wish. All right, guys, if you would like to follow me, Instagram and Twix at Brett Dasovic on both of those platforms. This show is here 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is noon Pacific. We are on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, and Spotify if you would prefer to listen rather than watch the show. If you want to follow the show on social media, we are on Twix at popculture_show, Facebook and not TikTok at Pop Culture Crisis, and on Instagram at Pop Culture Crisis Pod. Guys, we will be back with another episode tomorrow. We will see you then.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.